Chapter 4784, Boom. Dragon Dust's fist is wrapped with countless stars, just like one side of the universe explodes and hits the other side's holy soldiers. The collision of one fist and one sword is like the explosion of stars and a loud noise. Boom! The void is disillusioned, and the 10,000 roads burst open. Longchen and the immortal strong man of Tianren family fly out at the same time. When Longchen and the holy strong man of Tianren family stabilize their body shape, they both stare at each other. Longchen shook his big hand, and there was blood overflow on his fist. However, no one laughed at him. On the contrary, they were completely stunned by Longchen's actions. Really? Is this going against the sky? Is the flesh against the holy soldier, or is God's territory against the holy strong in the earth? Although Longchen's fist was full of blood, it still shocked the whole audience. Among the strong people present, no one had seen the disciples of God Xuanjing and dared to strike the holy soldier of the strong man with bare hands. This guy is a monster. In the distant space, even the strong man of the holy king who was close to Longchen couldn't help but be shocked, and his eyes were going to protrude. However, the words of Longchen made all the strong people present vomit blood. Are you hurt? I'm surprised that you can break my defense? Longchen looked at the wound on his fist and was slowly healing. He looked at the saint and strong of Tianren family strangely. Ilgo Guaran looked at Longchen with a look of worship. The reason why he worshipped him was not because of the power of Longchen, but because of his words. It was too forced. It seems that no one has said such arrogant words throughout the 9-day history when a god and a earth saint say such words, right? Although Dragon Dust was calm on the surface, his heart was full of ecstasy. When he cast the 7-star battle, he felt the affinity of the starry sky above the 9 days. When he exerts the power of stars, he can feel an unprecedented blessing. Although this blessing is slight, it is so beautiful and clear for the Dragon Dust who has been excluded by the way of heaven. The strong man of heaven, man and earth opposite the Dragon Dust was shocked, and even with a touch of fear in his eyes. Even the strong earth saint has never seen such a terrible force. His authentic law can't help the Dragon Dust. According to the law of heaven, the 3 saints of heaven, earth and man are suppressed by 1 level. Although they are the same holy land, the gap is very different. No matter how powerful you have, it is difficult to turn over because this is the law of heaven, unless you have the power that the law of heaven cannot restrict. The power of dragon blood exerted by Dragon Dust before is a well-known power that is not bound by the way of heaven, because the power of blood comes from the inside out and does not need the power of the way of heaven. However, the power of chi and blood is limited, while the power of heaven and earth is infinite. The strong man of heaven and earth can see that the power of dragon blood of Dragon Dust is strong, but this power cannot withstand consumption. Therefore, he is confident to quickly exhaust the power of dragon blood of Dragon Dust and kill it. But he never thought that in addition to the power of dragon blood, Dragon Dust also has the power of stars. The power of stars is also not bound by the laws of heaven. He has tunnel laws, but he can't use them effectively, which makes him sad to spit blood. That was the 8th move. Longchen looked at the saint and strong man of the heaven and man family, and then walked towards him slowly. Boom! At this time, there was a startling explosion in the distance, which came from the direction of the giant sword of the dragon bone evil moon and the moon. People looked for prestige, and saw a black light rush out of the endless fragments and go straight to the Dragon Dust. Pa Longchen didn't look at it either. With a big hand move, he grabbed the evil moon of the keel in his hand. What? When they saw this scene, the faces of the 2 earth saints of the Tianren family all showed a look of panic. They couldn't believe that this ancient magic weapon was smashed by the black knife of Dragon Dust. You know, the giant sword of the moon has a great origin. Otherwise, the Tianren family won't pay so much attention to it. When the Dragon Dust caught the Dragon Bone Evil Moon, the voice of the Dragon Bone Evil Moon came from the Dragon Dust's mind. Tut tut tut, the taste is really good. It's good to have another 180. Don't worry, there will be some in the future. There are still 2 moves left. Cooperate. Dragon Dust whispered to the evil moon. With Mao's 2 moves, come on, kill him with 1 knife, and open the prelude to our war against the Emperor and Heaven with the blood of the Earth Saint. Cried the evil moon. Buzz, Dragon Dust's big hand trembled, and endless starlight appeared on the keel evil moon. At that moment, the keel evil moon was like a transparent mirror, from which you can see endless starry sky, or it itself is a starry sky. When the dragon dust lifted the keel evil moon, the majestic breath swept through the heavens, the stars swayed on the 9 days, and the endless power of stars poured into the keel evil moon. The strong man of the land's saint of the Tianren clan changed his face. He was shocked to find that he was locked. Yes, he was locked. He was locked by the dragon dust, the dragon bone evil moon, and the stars. At this time, he can't escape from heaven and earth. Obviously, he has a partner who is also a local saint and strong, but he can't feel his existence. At this time, he becomes alone and faces the dragon dust alone. The 9th move, Dragon Dust sent all the power of stars into the dragon's keel evil moon and cut it off with a knife. Between heaven and earth, it was like a hanging star river. You are so arrogant that I'll see how you can defeat me with 10 moves? The way of the earth, the shadow of thousands of mountains, and thousands of ways to return to the river. The earthly saint of the Terran family roared. With his long sword horizontal and his mouth spitting out the truth, endless mountains and rivers appeared in front of him. At first, the scene was illusory, but soon, the space suddenly surged and mountains blocked him. Originally, he and Longchen gathered for only 100 miles. As a result, the appearance of the high mountain made Longchen and him seem to be people from 2 worlds, separated by thousands of rivers and mountains. Actually summoned the real mountains and rivers. What magic power is this? Some disciples exclaimed that all the magic powers were illusory. How could they be condensed into reality? There are arrays and array blessings on the mountains and rivers, and there is more terrible power of heaven. God, this is an indestructible holy mountain. When the mountains and rivers grow rapidly, people are shocked to find that there is the blessing of the power of heaven on every high mountain. The majestic breath can crush the holy and strong to death. What does he mean? To change from attack to defense is to survive 10 moves? Isn't that too suggestive? When he saw the strong man of heaven and earth, he used this move. The strong man of the dragon family behind Lord Tianxi couldn't help scolding. As the strong people of the dragon family, their knowledge is naturally unusual. They know that this is the skill of moving mountains and filling the sea by the strong people of the Earth Saint, and it is also the strongest defense skill of the strong people of the Earth Saint. Boom! At this time, the dragon's keel evil moon chopped on the mountains with a piece of Star River. At that moment, all the strong people on the scene opened their eyes. They knew that this blow was related to their life and death, honor and disgrace. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4785, Boom. The dragon dust fell with a knife, and the stars poured down. In the midst of thousands of mourning, the continuous mountains broke one by one. The high mountains summoned by the strong earthly saint are not only condensed by the laws of the tunnel, but also the weapons condensed by the strong earthly saint with the power of various elements for countless years. Their power is even above the holy soldiers. Every mountain is indestructible, but in front of the dragon's evil moon, these mountains are like a pile of flour. Before encountering the dragon bone evil moon, the dragon dust sky had strong star power, but it could not be used, because there was no weapon that could carry all his star power. Now, with the return of the dragon bone evil moon, Longchen no longer has any scruples. He concentrates the power of all stars in one knife. This blow is the strongest knife of Longchen so far. In the roar of the heavenly way, the dragon's keel evil moon is as powerful as bamboo, cutting off endless mountains and falling straight on the long sword of the land's saint and strong of the Tianren family. Click! A scene that shocked everyone appeared. The holy soldier of the holy and powerful man of heaven and man was cut into 2 sections by the dragon bone evil moon. Poof! The chest of the strong saint of heaven and earth exploded, blood splashed, and people flew out like sandbags. Lost, the strong man of the earth saint lost. Countless people exclaimed that if they didn't see it with their own eyes, how could they believe that God has defeated the earth's saint in this world? Who, dragon dust cuts off the holy soldier of the other party with a knife, and the thunder wings float behind him. The man pours on the holy and strong man of the Tianren family like a lightning bolt. At this time, the other party has lost the power of resistance, which is the best chance to kill him. The boy is cruel and cruel. You can't stay. At this time, another onlooker, the saint of heaven, man and earth, cut out with a sword. In the distortion of the void, thousands of mountains overlapped and hit the dragon dust straight. Despicable, shameless. The Terrans are all a group of inferior bastards. The strong man of the heaven and man clan and the earth saint made a move, which immediately caused countless people to drink and scold. The heaven and man clan was too shameless. He had made a sneak attack before. This time, he made another move, and judging by his actions, he knew that he had been accumulating strength for a long time. Dragon Dust fought with the local saint strong man for 9 moves, and his strength was greatly damaged. It should be the end of the crossbow, but he was ready for a long time. The dignified local saint strong man was shameless to this point, and there was no one. Therefore, the strong men present could not help shouting and scolding one after another. In the face of the raid of the land saint, Long Chin ignored him at all, and even left him a figure, as if he hadn't seen him. I've never seen such a shameless person before. At this time, suddenly a handsome man with a long sword appeared on the side of Long Chin out of thin air. He slowly held the handle of the sword with his big hand and stared at the saint and strong man of Tianren family. At the moment when Yu Zifeng appeared, the strong man of heaven and earth had locked the dragon dust, but at this time, the dragon dust disappeared from his lock for a moment. At the same time, Yu Zifeng's eyes zoomed in front of him. At that moment, it seemed that there were a pair of God's eyes overlooking himself on the 9 days. Boy, you want to die. You dare to spoil my good deeds. Go to die with Long Chin. That day, the strong man of the Terran land saint lost his lock on the dragon dust for a moment. He was shocked and angry. He roared and pressed this move straight to Yu Zifeng. The strong people present were stunned. They didn't expect that a young man was suddenly killed in the battlefield of Longchen. This man was clearly behind Longchen, which showed that he should be the subordinate of Longchen. At this time, he dared to face the strong man directly. Longchen seemed to have known that he would do it, so he didn't even look at the man. Yu Zifeng was allowed to intercept the Earth Saint of the Tianren family alone. The strong people present had a blank head. At this time, Yu Zifeng's voice rang through the world. I walked through the sea of corpses and blood and crossed the shackles of heaven and earth. From mortal to immortal, no one can stop me from moving forward. From weak to strong, nothing can block my goal. Ups and downs in the world of mortals, striving to cross the sea of suffering, 9 days and 10 places. Those who can't stop me, recite my name loudly. With Yu Zifeng singing, his long hair danced, his clothes danced, and he sucked every drop of the killing spirit between heaven and earth. His long sword, however, was shaking all the time, and its sharp edge cut the universe apart. When Yu Zifeng sang here, the long sword was very soft and motionless, and the whole world fell into a dead silence. 2 names echoed between heaven and earth like thunder, breaking waves. Yu Zifeng's long sword came out of its scabbard and cut quickly with one sword. Poof! Thousands of mountains and rivers were split in 2 by Yu Zifeng's sword. The strong man of heaven and earth after thousands of mountains was spewing out with blood. The violent pressure of Earth Saint was like a vented ball, and his breath dropped rapidly. This sword hurt his origin. I'm afraid he can't recover without thousands of years. A strong man exclaimed that he was an insignificant old man, but his eyes were like electricity and his breath was deep. He was a strong man disguised as an ordinary holy king. It is precisely because he is a strong local saint that he is so shocked. Yu Zifeng's sword has even broken through the tunnel rules of the strong local saint. He has never seen such a terrible sword repair, nor such a terrible sword meaning. Before, Long Chin showed his power over the way of heaven, and this time, Yu Zifeng also showed it once, in 2 different ways. This sword, even the Earth's saint and strong, felt numb. Young people are terrible now, aren't they? It's better to shrink up in the future. At least you don't have to worry about losing your old life. Among the crowd, a strong local saint who also hid his cultivation couldn't help laughing bitterly. Holy Lord, help! At this time, there came a shrill cry from Longchen. It turned out that Longchen was only a few feet away from him, and the Keel evil moon was almost going to stab his ass. Dragon Dust didn't seem to be in a hurry to kill him. The dragon's evil moon ran against each other. That day, the holy strong man of the Terran lost his head, and the voice came out from his chest, even with a crying cavity. The long Tao of Dragon Dust is like a maggot of paying bone. Let the Earth Saint of the Terran escape that day. The blade tip is getting closer and closer to him and will give him a fatal blow at any time. Hearing the howl of the strong man of Terran land that day, people couldn't help looking at the door of space in the sky. The moon summoned this door before. Longchen said it was a decoration. However, when the strong man of the Tianren family was hacked to death by the Dragon Dust, the door of space seemed to have changed, as if someone had moved his hands and feet. Now that day, the strong man of the Terran family turned to the door of space for help, and people's eyes looked at the door of space for a moment. Dragon family child, you deceive people too much. Do you really think there is no one in my Tianren family? Buzz, suddenly in the door of space, a silver spear flew over the neck of the strong man of the Terran land that day and went straight to the Dragon Dust stab. As soon as the silver spear came out, heaven and earth were disillusioned and trembled forever. It carried the supreme divine power. This gun, blessed by Tianwei, represents the way of heaven, which cannot be resisted and disobeyed. Heavenly holy soldier, someone recognized the origin of the weapon and couldn't help exclaiming that it was the divine weapon of the heavenly saint and the powerful. One blow was enough to destroy the stars. The heavenly sage strong man uses the heavenly sage magic weapon against the Dragon Dust, but no one drinks and scolds, because once the magic weapon comes out, there is only fear in people's souls. To deal with a god, we need the heavenly saint to do it himself. Aren't there no one in your heavenly and human family? Facing the divine soldiers of heaven, Longchen not only had no fear, but with a smile of conspiracy success. Seeing the long gun assassinating, Longchen suddenly had a bronze tripod in his hand, went straight to the long gun and threw it away. At the same time, he covered his ears and retreated quickly. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall.
https://www.novelcool.com/chapter/9-star-hegemon-body-arts-chapter-4786/99-star hegemon body arts 4786 chapter 4786 chapter 4786 Evil Moon, get ready. The Dragon Dust hugged his ear and smiled Yin. Wow, you're so insidious, but I like it. The Dragon Bone Evil Moon shouted excitedly. He didn't expect that the Dragon Dust didn't kill the strong saint of the Tianren family all the time, but it was to lead out the heavenly saint. For the Dragon Bone Moon, whether it is the blood of the strong, the spirit of the holy soldier, or the essence of the soldier himself, it is a great supplement to him, and it is also a solution to the energy of the seal on his body. The Dragon Bone Evil Moon once swallowed the royal blood silk net, but the power of the royal blood silk net was too terrible. Although the Dragon Bone Evil Moon absorbed it, it could not be digested. However, the power of the holy soldier is extremely important to it. On the one hand, the holy soldier's energy is powerful, which is very considerable for him, and can be digested directly after absorption. Just now, he absorbed the power of the holy soldier of the moon. He felt that his power had increased significantly. Otherwise, he would not break the other party's 1,000 mountains, break the other party's magic soldier, and inflict heavy damage on the other party. Absorbing the power of holy soldiers can be said to be immediate. The Dragon Evil Moon is excited. As a result, Dragon Dust has a super gift to it. Boom! After countless people were shocked by the power of the heavenly saint, the humble mouth in Longchen's hand, and even the rusty bronze tripod, smashed on the heavenly saint. In the shocking explosion, endless space-time fragments danced,
the earth exploded, and the sky was broken like a cobweb. It was a shocking collision. Even the dragon dust felt that his head was about to crack. The terrible ripples spread and shook him so that his scales burst open, the stars broke and a mouthful of blood gushed out. "Run away!" As the ripples of terror spread, the strong roared. "It's too late to report to the regiment for warmth and full defense." At this time, the strong man stood up and cut off drinking loudly. "It's too late to escape." After being caught up by the ripple, a large number of disciples of all ethnic groups will be killed. If you want to resist this attack, you must gather your strength together to ensure everyone's safety. Boom! The strong wind roared past, leaving them little time. Fortunately, someone timely reminded that all major forces, regardless of race, fought together. When the terrible shock wave passed, people looked at the battlefield. "What? Stopped the heavenly saint? What's that?" When I saw 9 days above, a 1,000-mile-long gun was stabbed on an insignificant bronze tripod, and the bronze tripod didn't move. Kaka kaka. Just then, a strange sound sounded, and the needle dropping in the whole audience could be heard. The subtle sound was as harsh as thunder. "No, that bronze tripod is going to burst." Someone shouted. "No, there's a crack on the long gun." Someone corrected it soon. People looked at the silver spear in horror. They actually found that there were cobweb cracks on the silver spear, which seemed to burst at any time. "Shit, it's useless. Is that all you have?" The dragon dust saw this and couldn't help but be in a hurry. The thunder wings behind him opened, and the man rushed out like a flash of lightning. The keel evil moon was in his hand, and a knife cut off the silver spear. In Long Chen's opinion, if the strong saint doesn't come out of the divine army that day, once he comes out of the divine army and cuts it on the heaven and earth tripod with all his strength, it will burst into pieces. The heaven and earth tripod cannot actively help Long Chen kill people. Therefore, Long Chen can only use it to defend. As long as the opponent's strength is strong enough, any weapon must explode. But what the dragon dust order didn't expect was that although the heavenly saint divine soldier obeyed the orders of the master, the instrument spirit also had its own perception of danger. When the heaven and earth tripod appeared, it sensed the danger for the first time and unloaded 90% of its power. Because of this, it was not broken, but even so, it has been seriously damaged and needs to be repaired in time. How did dragon dust give it this chance? Seeing the bad dragon dust, the evil moon in his hand chopped down. At this time, the roar of the heavenly saint and strong man came from the door of space. A big hand leaned out of the door and grabbed the dragon dust. Boom, but the dragon dust didn't care. He still cut on the silver spear with a knife. The keel evil moon cut on the silver spear heavily. With a loud bang, the silver glow flew all over the sky, and a heavenly saint was forcibly cut and exploded by the dragon dust. Poof! At this time, the voice of the heavenly saint strong spitting blood came from the door of the void. Obviously, the dragon dust cut and exploded his heavenly saint divine soldier, which was connected with his soul, and he was also badly hurt. Buzz, the dragon bone evil moon trembled, and the silver powder in the sky was absorbed by it. The dark blade seemed to be sprinkled with countless silver powder, and it was like a scattered river of stars in the boundless universe. The breath of the dragon bone evil moon suddenly soared. Cool, great. The dragon skeleton evil moon shouted excitedly. Dragon dust slashed and burst the silver spear with a knife. His figure kept spinning. The keel evil moon was full of brilliant stars. Dragging the tail of the star river, he ruthlessly cut into the big hand sticking out of the door of space. Smash the gun, spin the body and draw the knife at one go. The speed is as fast as lightning, but it gives people a sense of elegance and flexibility. It doesn't take any hasty meaning. It's easy to wield. This action stunned countless strong people present. Others have been too scared to move in the face of the heavenly saint, while the action of Long Chen is still elegant and flexible. He is like the tireless god of war. No matter what kind of opponent, he can't affect his state. When a seamless heavenly robe was cut, as 2 peas of a sword, Yu Zifeng was shot, and a sword fell at the same time. A fierce force was seen. The speed of the two men was different, But the two attack was exactly the same, and the match was perfectly seamless. Boom! With a bang, a sword and a cross, the big hand covering the sky was cut and exploded by two people. When the big hand exploded, Yu Zifeng's whole body space was distorted and the person disappeared in an instant. He stood lazily on the cold wind blowing on the dragon's shoulder. Unfortunately, if you have a strong body like the boss and stand next to the boss, you will be more handsome. Guoran looked at Yu Zifeng around him and felt sorry. When Yu Zifeng went to war and returned, Bai Xiaola picked him up with pupil technique. Now Bai Xiaola has become an indispensable member of the Dragon Blood Corps. Yu Zifeng's body is too weak. If he is swept by the vigorous wind, he can't afford it at all. Facing Guoran's sigh, Yu Zifeng shook his head. He doesn't like to be in the limelight as much as Guoran. He cooperated with Long Chen and cut off each other's big hand, but Yu Zifeng didn't feel the slightest excitement, but felt deeply shocked. That day, the strong man's blow was greatly affected by the dragon dust's cutting and exploding the silver spear. Everyone heard the sound of spitting blood. The power of this blow will be greatly reduced in an instant. But even so, they still want him and Long Chen to do their best to resist, which shows that the heavenly saint and the earthly saint are not at the same level at all. What's more, it's just a blow in the air, not a real shot. If the real saint comes in person, they can't even make it. Dragon Dust waved his big hand and collected the heaven and earth tripod. At this time, the door of the void burst and magnified rapidly, and the overwhelming killing intention swept in. The heavenly sage and the strong will come in person. Someone screamed. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4787, Boom. The void door trembled, and a figure wanted to squeeze out of the space door. However, he seemed to be bound by some force. During his struggle, heaven and earth trembled and heaven and earth changed color. Although people didn't rush through the door of space, the terrible divine power of heaven has come out from the crack of space. The power even the strong ones of Earth's saints feel scared and pale. He's going to kill. He's going to fight back. The strong man exclaimed. The heavenly sage and the strong are absolutely powerful in the emperor, but the more powerful the practitioner is, because the power he carries is too huge, he can't pass through that channel. In fact, what Dragon Dust said before is right. The gate of space is just used to scare people. Although it goes straight to the nest of the Terrans, the level of this channel is not enough. Let alone the strong ones of heaven and earth, even the strong ones of earth and earth cannot rush through the channel. Moon Wushu is always putting on airs. He doesn't believe that the dragon family will fight with the Tianren family for a disciple, which is not logical at all. In fact, he called out the door of space for those who were encouraged to see, let them start, have no worries, and use their hands to kill the dragon dust. If the heavenly sage wants to come from this channel, it is like an elephant trying to get out of a mouse hole. It will collapse the whole space channel. The strong of the heavenly sage has too terrible power, so the stronger the limit of the heavenly way they bear, otherwise the whole world may be destroyed by them if they let the strong of the heavenly sage act wantonly. It's very easy for a man to come out of this space channel, but if the heavenly sage comes out of this channel, the door of void will be burst by him, which is tantamount to fighting against the laws of heaven and earth. No matter how big the heavenly sage is, it can't be bigger. Even if the heavenly sage does so, it will bear certain causes and consequences, and even be hurt by the reverse bite of the heavenly way. He will pay a great price when he comes here. But even so, on that day, the holy and powerful man of the Terran was still struggling to impact. The door of space was constantly distorted and deformed under his heavenly authority, countless space cracks appeared, and the door of space was about to burst. The dragon dust stood in front of the door of space, the Keel evil moon was lazily carried on his shoulder, and his cloak swayed with the wind. It seemed that he was so quietly waiting for the arrival of the heavenly saint. What do you do, Lord Tianxi? The other party has sent out the strong man of heaven. The strong members of the dragon family behind Lord Tianxi are anxious. Lord Tianxi is a half-step heavenly saint. They came with Lord Tianxi. They thought it was too much to mobilize the public. With them, the strong saint level is enough to frighten the scene. It seems that Lord Tianshi personally welcomed dragon dust, which seems too much to praise dragon dust. However, as the situation evolves, it gradually becomes uncontrollable. If the divine power of the Terran comes that day, I'm afraid even Lord Tianxi can't stop it. These people panic all of a sudden, and it's too late to ask the dragon family for help. Boom! At this time, the void gate finally couldn't bear the pressure of the heavenly saint and the strong, and burst into pieces. In the endless space-time fragments, an old man in a gray robe appeared. He was white-bearded and white-haired, but his face was ferocious and murderous. When he saw Longchen standing in front of him, without saying a word, he slapped Longchen down. The power of this palm, let alone a God-respected disciple, even 100 Earth saints will be beaten to death by a slap. The dragon dust looked at the startling palm, still carrying the keel evil moon, did not shrink back, and quietly watched the palm come. The Dragon Blood Legion was nervous, but no one could resist it. Even Bai Zantang's face changed. He looked around, but there was no sign of reinforcements. If you dare to hurt my son, I will destroy your family. Just as the palm was about to fall, a figure quietly appeared from behind the dragon dust. As soon as he appeared, the strong people of the dragon family in the distance shouted, "Holy Lord, that person is no one else, but the father of Long Chen, the fourth heavenly saint of the Tianhuang dragon family, Long Zhantian." At this time, Long Zhantian is not as decadent as it was. At this time, he was dressed in python skin armor, with a bloody broadsword on his back. The whole person stood upright like a javelin, and the divine light flowed in his eyes. Although he didn't send out any breath, his appearance was like the arrival of the emperor. The colorful god light up the sky, and all kinds of runes were worshipping him. As soon as Long Zhantian appeared, the big hand on the 9 days had been photographed in front of Long Chen, and neither Long Chen nor Long Zhantian had the intention of shooting. Boom! The big hand exploded at a distance of only 100 feet from the dragon dust. It was the heavenly saint of the Tianren family who took back the palm at the last minute. "Bah, coward, look down on you." Long Chen put away the dragon's keel evil moon with a sneer. When he saw the smile on his father's face, at that moment, Long Chen's nose was sour and all his previous pride disappeared, so he had to kneel down to his father. Long Zhantian stretched out his big hand, hugged Long Chen's shoulder, shook Long Chen's arm and said, "Do you still need those red tape between you and my father and son? Come on, let Dad have a good look at you. It's good. It's a lot more mature." The confusion in my heart has disappeared. Hey, it's really worthy of being my son of Long Zhantian. What I did just now is really a long face for my dad. Long Zhantian's eyes were full of relief, and his face was full of pride. He had seen the performance of Long Chen before, and he was sincerely proud of his performance. Long Chen couldn't help laughing and said, "Because I sensed that Dad you were nearby, so the child dared to be so arrogant. If you weren't there, I'm afraid I would have slipped away with oil on the soles of my feet." Awesome, I used 7 secret methods to lock the power of blood, but you still felt it. Long Zhantian couldn't help sighing. "Dad." Long Chen looked at his father, his eyes red and his voice choked. "My child misses you very much. Are you two finished?" At this time, the strong man of Tianren family in the distance shouted angrily, "Long Zhantian, you are just a separate body. Do you think a separate body can stop me? I want to know, why do you have such courage? Separation?" Even Long Chen was surprised. When he carefully felt the fluctuation of Long Zhantian, he found that his father was really separated. Thinking of this, just as Long Chen was about to summon the dragon keel evil moon, Long Zhantian patted him on the shoulder, smiled and said, "Your performance today has been very good. Leave the rest to me." Long Zhantian stood in front of Long Chen and looked at the strong man of heaven and earth in front of him and said faintly, "Want to know my courage? Here you are." As he spoke, Long Zhantian waved his big hand and threw out something. When people saw that thing in public, they all screamed and lost their voice. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4788. The thing thrown by Long Zhantian was not big at all, but when it was separated from his hand, it rose against the storm like a high mountain. Boom! The thing rolled round, hit the ground hard, rolled several times and finally stopped. At this time, people could see what it was. On the same day, the holy strong man of the Terran saw that thing, and suddenly he wanted to break his eyes and kill the sky. He roared, "Long Zhantian, you've been deceiving people too much." The heavenly saint of the Terran family was so angry that he trembled all over and even his voice became hoarse. It was nothing else but a huge head. The head was like a mountain, impressively a huge fox head. It had sharp teeth and fangs, a ferocious face, and a fierce color in its eyes. As soon as it appeared, even dragon dust felt its soul trembling and stared at it, and its back was sweating unconsciously. Although it is only a head, its fierce spirit has been frightening, and its breath is not much worse than the holy strong man in front of us. That's Tianren's guardian beast, Tianyao divine fox. The strong man exclaimed and recognized the origin of the huge head. What? That's the heavenly demon divine fox? That's a divine beast of heavenly saint level. The divine beast of heavenly saint level was killed. People looked at Long Zhantian and the dragon dust next to Long Zhantian. All the strong people present felt numb. The father and son were so terrible. Dragon dust swept all directions before, even beheaded the Holy Land, and smashed the divine soldiers of the heavenly saint and the strong. What arrogance and hegemony is this? As soon as Long Chen's father came out, he directly drank the heavenly sage strong man of the Tianren family and threw out the head of the heavenly sage level divine beast. The father and son always challenge people's imagination. Xiao Jiao, want you be angry? Seeing the huge fox head, Bai Xiaole asked tentatively. The little fox stood on Bai Xiaole's shoulder, held his two small claws in front of his chest, looked disdainful and said, "This has something to do with me? When the fox family is old, the heavenly demon divine fox can't fight with our purple pupil nine-tail family 8 poles. Can I be angry?" Bai Xiaole was worried that Xiao Jiao would have an idea, but after listening to his words, he was relieved. Deceive people too much? If you send it to follow me, you want to deceive people too much? The hidden breath skill of the heavenly demon divine fox is said to be unparalleled in the world, so it's really unparalleled in the world? Dragon and Sky Light Tunnel, since you dare to send it to follow me, you should be aware of being killed by me. In fact, you should also thank me. At least, I returned its head to you. Who? With a wave of his big hand, the heavenly sage strong man of the Terran family grabbed the head of the heavenly demon divine fox, and suddenly his face changed greatly and shouted loudly, "What about its nucleus? What you said is too childish. It's good to give you a head. Do you want a crystal core? Give you a fire, and you have to ask me for a donkey?" The dragon and the sky were speechless for a while. Long Chen smiled directly. He didn't expect that his father had such a humorous side. Most of the strong people present didn't understand what the last sentence of Long Zhantian meant, but some people couldn't help laughing when they heard of donkey meat burning. Obviously, the heavenly saint of the Tianren family had never eaten this thing and didn't understand what it meant, but when he saw that the crystal nucleus in his head had disappeared, he was trembling with anger, and his eyes were even more frightened and uneasy. This heavenly demon divine fox is one of the 4 sacred beasts of the Tianren family. They have always been the secret weapon of the Tianren family. They have almost never been exposed outside. The strong outside only hear its name and don't see its shape. Among the 4 protectors, one heavenly demon divine fox has hidden breath and is more proficient in the art of soul. He once helped the heavenly people secretly assassinate more than a dozen heavenly saints and powerful people, and never missed. The most frightening thing is that those heavenly saints who were killed did not see the appearance of the heavenly demon divine fox on their deathbed, let alone how it shot. It can be said that this heavenly demon divine fox is the secret weapon of the heavenly and human race. Since Long Chen killed Luo Changxing of the heavenly and human race in the virtual spirit world and destroyed countless strong ones, the heavenly and human race has been determined to kill Long Chen. On the same day, when the Terrans learned that Long Chen was the son of the 4th-day sage of the Tianhuang dragon family, they immediately began to kill Long Zhantian. However, when Long Zhantian entered the dragon house, he pushed horizontally all the way and killed the throne of the 4 heavenly saints with a broadsword. The Tianren family was also very afraid of Long Zhantian. Therefore, although they had the heart to kill the dragon family father and son, they were cautious. Instead of making an attack and killing plan, they sent the heavenly demon divine fox, which is the best at hiding, to track the dragon and the sky. The Tianren clan is always cautious. They have to find out the bottom of each other before assassinating a person. Without perfect assurance, they won't do it easily. Just yesterday, the heavenly demon divine fox sent a message to the Tianren family, saying that Long Zhantian had left the dragon family and entered the field of chaos. It is precisely because of this that the Tianren family dares to deal with the dragon dust with such confidence and boldness. But now the separation of the dragon and the sky has also brought the head of the heavenly demon divine fox, which is unbearable for the Tianren family. Demon clan has demon pill and crystal core. Demon pill is their lifelong energy. It is extremely precious and invaluable, but it is not the most important for Tianren clan. The most important thing is that the crystal core of the heavenly demon divine fox gathers its magical runes and lifelong memory. The magical runes are nothing, but its memory is an important secret of the Tianren family. Although, when most of the heavenly saint-level strong fall, the divine power will be recovered by the way of heaven, resulting in the damage of the crystal nucleus and the collapse of memory. Others cannot explore the memory according to the crystal nucleus. But in this world, there are always some strange secrets. You can explore the root of memory through a trace of clues. This is the place that Tianren people fear most. If the secret of the Terran is revealed, it may be a disaster for the Terran. Because of this, the fear will appear in the eyes of the holy and powerful man of the Terran that day. Don't be afraid. I'm not interested in the secrets of your Tianren family, and I don't have time to dig that crystal core. I feed its crystal core and demon pill to my mount. It seems to see the mind of the strong man of the Terran family. The dragon and the sky are faint. Do you think it'll believe your nonsense? That day, the holy strong man of the Terran drank coldly. If you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. I can cut off your head and throw it to other people of Tianren family. Maybe they will believe it. Long Zhantian smiled. You. That day, the strong man of the holy family shouted coldly, "You are just a separate body. Do you think you have arrogant qualifications?" I think I should have. Long Zhantian smiled and suddenly stepped out. The man had come in front of the man and pointed to his eyebrow. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4789 Long Zhantian said to fight. The action looks very gentle, not slow, without any anger. It's not any move to point at it. However, the whole action is like flowing clouds and flowing water, more like a random blow. If you have a heart, it seems unintentional. When everyone sees this action, one finger of Long Zhantian is about to touch the middle of the old man's eyebrows. When he saw his father's finger, Long Chen's heart jumped wildly. This is the law of time. At the moment of Long Zhantian's hand, the surrounding time flow slowed down and everyone's reaction slowed down. Although dragon dust has been exposed to similar attacks before, the so-called law of time is a pseudo-law, which uses speed, vision, and space to make people feel confused and confuse the enemy. But Long Zhantian's hand is the real control of time and space. When Long Chen saw his father's hand, he immediately understood his father's intention. He wanted him to understand the gap between himself and the strong man of heaven. Before, dragon dust cut people's saints, destroyed the earth saints, and even felt that it had the capital to challenge the strong of heaven saints. Now dragon dust sees the dimensional gap between earth saints and heaven saints, which is really a day and a place. Small separation, dare to be arrogant. On that day, the sage and strong man of the Terran was very angry. The action of dragon fighting heaven was a great humiliation for him. There was a feeling that he could press one finger to death. The heavenly sage of the Terran family opened his right hand and shook it left and right. There were many runes on his palm. The whole hand turned golden in an instant, just like gold. Golden Power Controller, by Shirshir was surprised. She was also the master of the power of gold. At the moment when the powerful man of the human race shot, She was shocked to find that the power of gold in heaven and earth seemed to be evacuated by him for a moment, and even the power of gold in her body leaked. Bai Shirshir has never seen such a terrible power. You know, the heavenly sage and strong man of the Tianren family has not even summoned visions, let alone accumulated power. Boom, one finger and one palm collided and ripples spread. Boom, dragon dust was the first to bear the brunt and was hit by the ripple. Although dragon dust had been prepared, he had been shocked by the ripple. His blood surged and his eyes were full of Venus. He almost didn't spit out a mouthful of blood. He felt that there was an invisible big hand that twisted his body and soul. That kind of uncomfortable feeling can't be described in words. However, the dragon dust did not give in and took the blow. The duel between the heavenly saints was extremely rare. He didn't want to miss this experience. Even, Long Chen allows the destructive power with the law of heaven and the will of the soul to run in his body. Maybe he can see the secret of heaven through his own experience. Puff, puff. The ripples spread. When they covered the dragon blood legion, everyone couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Although their bodies could withstand the impact of the ripples, their souls were crushed by the will of the heavenly saint. When the ripples spread around, countless strong people found that even the dragon blood legion could not bear it and wanted to escape, but they were yelled by the elders of all ethnic groups. If you choose to escape, the will of the heavenly sage will drive you to death. No one can escape or you will die. Boom! When the holy power spread to them that day, the ripples turned into huge waves. Countless strong people could only fight hard. As a result, these strong people were lifted up like fallen leaves in the wind, and countless people were bleeding wildly. Some people try to escape without believing in evil. As a result, when they are lifted off, the fire of the soul is extinguished instantly, and they have become a corpse when they fall to the ground. In fact, when the holy power of heaven spread to them, although the waves were towering and the holy power was terrible, the power had been dispersed, and the pressure of the dragon blood legion was more than 1,000 times that of them, let alone the dragon dust in the middle of the battlefield. Buzzing, buzzing. Long Zanshan's instruction is on the golden palm of the strong man of the Terran. The ripples spread from the fingertips of Long Zhantian, constantly scouring the heaven and earth. The heaven and earth change color and roar. The earth is constantly cracking and collapsing, and the sky has completely lost its original color. This is the real power to destroy heaven and earth. People were horrified to find that when the two heavenly saints fought against each other, they could not feel any power of the way of heaven, as if the power between heaven and earth had been evacuated by them. In front of them, everyone is like a mole ant. The shock brought by the dragon dust cutting the strong man of the earth saint is so worthless in front of the heavenly saint. That day, the strong man of the human race's heavenly saint slapped the dragon and the sky, and a sneer appeared at the corners of his mouth. It's just a separation. What is the strongest heavenly saint of the future Tianhuang dragon family? But when he said this, suddenly his palm trembled, and the rest of his words were swallowed back in a moment. At the same time, the golden palm trembled continuously, and the sneer on his face disappeared. Instead, the whole face turned into the color of pig liver, as if it had been constipated for 800 years. People suddenly found that they didn't know when the finger of Dragon Zhantian was entangled by colorful Shunhui. When colorful Shunhui appeared, the heavenly sage and strong man of Tianren kept shaking, as if he was under endless pressure. The strongest colorful supreme blood of our dragon family appears. Although it's not the first time to see it, it will make my blood boil every time I see it. The strong man of the dragon family behind Lord Tianxi shouted excitedly. Kaka kaka. When the dragon Zhantian used the colorful supreme blood, the breath of the dragon Zhantian remained unchanged, but there were cobweb cracks in the void under the feet of the heavenly sage and strong man of the Tianren family, and the man was pushed back slowly. It was obvious that he was suppressed under the absolute power competition. Long Zhantian looked at the heavenly saint and said faintly, although it's a separate body, it should be no problem to destroy a shameless guy like you who bullies the small with the big. Long Chen is my son and one of the two most important people in my life. He is my inverse scale. I'm sorry. Buzz, when Long Zhantian said this, the sage of the Terrans suddenly roared that day. Before, only the palm was golden. At this time, the whole person became a golden statue. At the same time, the divine light surged behind him and the vast divine power erupted. He's going to summon a natural vision, someone exclaimed. The Holy Spirit summoned a vision. If we fight with all our strength, the world will be blown up and we will all die. The strong man shouted in horror. At this time, the voice of Long Zhantian continued. In order to let the world know that he is my son of Long Zhantian, you can only tell the world with your life. Buzz, suddenly, the fingers of Dragon Zhantian suddenly trembled, and a colorful sword instantly pierced the golden palm and stabbed directly into the eyebrows of the Saint of Heaven and Man. You can read the novel online free at Novelhall. Chapter 4790. When the colorful sword pierced the head of the strong man of the Terran family, at that moment, the whole world suddenly became bright and dark, as if it would collapse at any time. The scene in front of people seemed to be slowed down, and even the colorful sword could be seen clearly. It stabbed in and out slowly, and everything was so clear. Buzzing, buzzing. Heaven and earth roared and trembled. Even heaven and earth seemed to be affected and began to release some emotion. Show mercy. Just then, a scream of horror came from the door of space in the sky. Before that, the door of space had been forcibly blasted by the divine power of the Terran on that day. Now there is only one residual door, and the sound came from the residual door. The voice in the remnant door immediately began to introduce himself. I am. If you want him to live, you'd better shut up. I Long Zhantian never know how to weigh the interests, let alone be threatened. The dragon and the sky are faint. The colorful magic sword at the fingertips of Long Zhantian pierced the head of the strong man of the Tianren family, but did not directly explode the power to kill him. The people behind the remnant gate saw this thread of vitality and immediately came out to beg for mercy, hoping that Long Zhantian would show mercy. You know, it's a strong saint. Even for a powerful force like the Tianren family, they can't afford to lose. After all, they have lost a divine beast of Tianxing level. If they lose another strong saint, the foundation of the Tianren family will be shaken and there is a risk of overturning. Listen to that voice. It seems that it is the head of the family of Heaven and Man. In the distance, someone exclaimed behind Lord Tianxer. Lord Tianxer smiled and said, naturally it's him, and others are not qualified to intercede. Dragon War Day is Dragon War Day. It's really a blessing for my dragon family. If dragon dust can also belong to my dragon family, why should my dragon family be unhappy? Lord Tianxi looked at the dragon war and the dragon dust. It seemed as if a flame was burning in his eyes. At this time, the Tianxing strongman of Tianren family had completely lost his previous aggressiveness. Now he was trembling all over and his eyes were full of fear, because his life was in the hands of Long Zhantian. His heart was full of remorse and reluctance. He was careless. He saw that the dragon battle sky was just a separate body and didn't even summon the vision, so he didn't summon the vision. However, he didn't expect that the colorful supreme blood of the dragon battle sky was so terrible that his defense was broken before he summoned the vision. It can be said that if he took a wrong step, he lost everything. I disagree. On that day, the strong man of Terran Heavenly Saint bit his teeth and said, if you're a real man, let me go. Well, fight with real swords and guns. I won't accept you killing me like this. I have nothing to do with your disobedience. I never care what others think of me. Your provocation is extremely childish to me. Long Zhantian smiled. If only looking at his smile, he was like a gentle Confucian scholar. He looked very friendly, but at this time, he could decide the life and death of a heavenly sage at any time. The most frightening thing is that there was no threat from the beginning to the end. He was just like a mortal, but he could kill God against the sky. He's like a well. It looks so ordinary on the surface, but no one knows how much energy is hidden under the wellhead. He is an existence that no one can see through. A separate body, but waved to suppress the heavenly saint. This amazing means completely deterred all the strong people present. Before they were beaten by the hoodlums, many of them knew that they had been killed by the hoodlums. But you don't have to worry. I won't kill you or disdain to kill you. Bang! Suddenly, Long Zhantian kicked out, right in the dantian of the strong man of the Terran that day, and there was a bang. That day, the strong man of the Terran was kicked away by Long Zhantian. On that day, the strong man of the Terran flew out upside down. Long Zhantian really kept his promise and didn't kill him, but the strong men present obviously felt something wrong. The breath of the strong man of the Terran dropped a lot in a moment. This decline is not due to the decline of consumption, but to the decline of germplasm. Although there are no heavenly saints and strong men present, it is also obvious that something is wrong. On that day, the strong man of the human race and the people behind the remnant door of the space heard the sound of angry drinking. On that day, the strong man of the human race was murderous and ferocious. You are so cruel that you destroyed my holy root and let my realm fall. Hearing the roar of the heavenly saint of the Tianren family, the strong people present finally understood the strange phenomenon before and were more and more frightened of the dragon and the sky. It can quietly destroy the foundation of the strong man of the heavenly saint. The strength of the dragon and the sky is unimaginable. It's really too strong. It's obvious that the same heavenly saint, the dragon and the sky are much stronger than each other. They are not at the same level at all. It's a great gift that I don't kill you. You're not satisfied? If you don't agree, just do it again. The dragon and the sky are faint. That day, the strong man of the Terran was trembling with anger. At this time, he was still the opponent of Dragon Zhantian. If he forced his hand, it would be no different from looking for death. Well, he'll remember Ren Xiefeng's revenge. On that day, the strong man of the Terran turned around and disappeared after he reported his name. The powerful man of heaven was fierce and castrated in a hurry. Thinking of his strength when he burst the door of space before, he became a sharp contrast with his current embarrassment. When Ren Xiefeng left, the strong men of other Terrans did not dare to stay and fled one after another, while Long Chen ignored them. He was too lazy to kill these guys. However, when a group of people were about to leave, Long Chen shouted, "Stop, who let you go?" These people are not others, but the strong ones who were bewitched by the Tianren family to besiege the Dragon Blood Legion. Those people were so frightened that they didn't dare to move. Their faces showed a color of fear. Not to mention the strong man of dragon and heaven. Even if dragon dust shot, they would be killed. Among the crowd, an old man smiled and said, "Misunderstanding, misunderstanding, these are all misunderstandings. In fact, they are all the malicious intentions of the Tianren family, who deceived us. You have a large number of adults, so you shouldn't argue with us. After all, we haven't caused you any loss. In addition, you can rest assured that our disciples have no eyes for you. They are to blame themselves. We will never retaliate. This man is just an ordinary holy king, but he has great ability to steer in the wind. Moreover, his speech is watertight and his posture is very low, which makes it difficult for people to blindly find trouble with him. I'm not a big man. Don't bring me those high hats. I've seen this routine a lot. Don't talk nonsense. Everyone kowtows. Even if it's over, it's okay not to kowtow. Just leave your head. Dragon Dust Light Tunnel. These villains, Long Chen is not interested in pestering with them, but if you let them go, some idiots will think that Long Chen is easy to bully and pester endlessly. They must pay a price, otherwise they will not have a long memory. Now these people are stupid. If they kneel down and kowtow, they will lose their face. However, if they don't lose their face, they may lose their lives. For a time, these people are filled with righteous indignation, but they don't know what to do. Just then, a gentle voice came, "Let me knock this head for them." You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4791. When they looked for prestige, they saw a woman in white in the distance. The woman was dressed in white and wore a white scarf, but she was bared with a pair of fiber feet. At this time, her feet were full of blood stains, which were pierced by gravel and thorns on the ground. The woman's skin is as white as jade, Her eyes are like peach blossoms, and her whole body is wrapped with fairy chi. She is like a fairy who came out of the ancient deep forest and is not contaminated with any fireworks. Her accomplishments were not obvious. Although she was entangled with immortality, she was like a person who didn't understand practice at all. Her beautiful fiber feet stepped on a hard stone. You can even see that the stone cut her toes and her toes trembled. It was obvious that she could feel pain. But on her face, there was still a quiet smile and a pair of eyes like autumn water, which was enough to make everyone present feel ashamed. She's like a holy mirror. In front of her, it is easy to feel inferior. Her beauty seems to lie in her holy and flawless character. Long Chen has seen a woman with such temperament for the first time in her life. This woman is a little strange, and I can't see through her cultivation. When the woman appeared, even Long Zhantian was stunned. Long Chen was shocked. Even her father couldn't see through her, which was amazing. However, no matter what the other party's identity was, her previous words made Long Chen a little unhappy. Girl, you may not know me very well. I'm Long Chen, not a businessman. Long Chen looked at the woman and said impolitely. When the woman appeared, the eyes of Guoran and others were deeply attracted by the woman. Not only Guoran and others, but also by Shishir and Yu Qingxian looked at her in shock. That woman is obviously pleading for those people. It would be very disgusting for her to be a good person here for no reason. But I don't know why, no one can be angry with her, and even feel that if you disobey her, it is a kind of blasphemy. Long Chen speaks to her in this tone, and even people will think that Long Chen is a little too much. This has to shock everyone from the heart. You know, Long Chen has always been their backbone. They have never questioned any decision of Long Chen, but today there has been a subtle change because of this woman. If this is the woman's unique ability, it will be terrible. In the face of Long Chen's sneer response, the woman still had a smile on her face. Her smile seemed to cure all the sadness in the world and erase all the troubles. Long Chen looked at her smile and couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. I don't know why, her smile made his heart jump wildly, as if he had been charmed. Dragon Dust hurried to restrain his mind and keep calm, but I don't know why, an inexplicable emotion is breeding in the depths of his soul. The woman took a deep look at Long Chen and said, I know you're not a businessman, don't like bargaining, and don't have the heart to weigh the interests. You're a person who likes happiness, gratitude, and hatred. The woman is as gentle as water. Every word and sound has a strong affinity. There are countless strong people present. No matter what identity and accomplishments, they hope to hear more from her, because they have never heard such a pleasant voice. However, Long Chen waved his hand and directly interrupted the woman's words. Stop, stop, stop. Although I like to listen to good words, your good words are too direct and I can't afford it. Let's get down to business. These people wanted my life before. If I don't kill them, I'll burn Gaoxiang. Now let them kowtow. On the one hand, let them have a good memory. On the other hand, let some idiots who are ready to move have a mental preparation. I want people in this world to know that I am not food, I have tusks. The woman nodded and said, I understand your appeal is reasonable. It's reasonable to say that I shouldn't interfere in this matter. However, the little woman has a great wish and has to come forward. If you can understand the little woman's difficulties, the little woman will be grateful. When the woman finished, she knelt down directly to Long Chen. When Long Chen was surprised, he waved his big hand and burst out of vigorous strength, so she had to hold up the woman and make her unable to kneel down. However, to the surprise of Long Chen, when his power touched the woman's body, his power disappeared like a clay ox into the sea. The woman knelt in front of Long Chen and knocked her head. Long Chen watched her move, but she couldn't stop her. This made Long Chen surprised and angry, and his face became gloomy. Are you threatening me? I understand you, who will understand me? I entered the Emperor's heaven and fought all the way, killing me from the channel to this side. Those people want to kill me. Have they understood me? The more Long Chen spoke, the more excited he became. Later, his voice was like rolling thunder, which made heaven and earth tremble, like the roar of God, and hit the depths of people's soul. The woman felt Long Chen's anger, and her beautiful cheeks were full of shame.
She saluted Longchen again and said softly, "Sorry." "What's the use of being sorry? If you're sorry, you can let my dead brothers in Tianwu mainland live. I Longchen will knock 10,000 heads for you." "No, what if you knock your heads all your life?" Dragon Dust said later. His voice trembled, because he thought of those dead dragon blood soldiers. When the War of Annihilation came, it was all the most violent and barbaric massacres. Who could he reason with? Why didn't this woman show up at that time? The dragon looked at her face and felt no pity. Some of her eyes looked at her face and felt no pity. "Sorry to offend." The woman saluted Longchen deeply, and then turned around and left. Tears fell from her cheeks and onto the ground. At this time, she seemed to have been wronged endlessly and couldn't help crying. Along the way, there were blood stains and tears on her footprints. People watched her back go away. She looked so lonely and pathetic. Longchen looked at the woman's back and stayed for a moment. I don't know why. At the moment of the woman's tears, the resentment and hatred in his heart seemed to be released quickly, and the excited mood calmed down in an instant. Dean Longchen, in fact, we. At this time, someone stood up with a stiff head. If they couldn't, they could kowtow. After all, it's still important to protect their lives, but they still wanted to test the attitude of Longchen. "Get out," Dragon Dust only responded coldly. Those people were immediately pardoned and rushed away. Longchen took a long sigh of relief, looked at his father and said with a bitter smile, "I lost in the end." Although Longchen hates the woman's behavior very much, he really can't continue to make trouble for those people and let the woman succeed. "It's not unfair for you to lose to her." Long Zhantian smiled. "Dad, what do you see?" Dragon Dust was surprised. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4792. Long Zhantian looked at the woman's back and nodded. It should be her. Her appearance means that no one knows whether the world has reached a critical point, whether it is destruction or rebirth. "Dad?" Long Zhanshan's answer was not what he asked, which confused Long Chen. "Well, I guess too. I'm not sure about this kind of thing, but her words and deeds are very similar to the existence in the legend. If it's really her, she won't only appear once. You'll meet by chance in the future. Then you'll see it in person." Long Zhantian shook his head. Well, when an expert talks, he is always unpredictable. Dragon Dust smiled bitterly. "You child, I can't talk nonsense about things I can't eat. How hard it is to be beaten in the face." Long Zhantian lost his smile. "Dad, just stay with my child for a few more days. My child misses you very much." Long Chen looked at Long Zhantian and his eyes were slightly red. Although Long Chen was the pride of 9 days and an invincible hero, he longed for that deep feeling in his heart. In Fengming Empire, Long Tianxiao regarded him as his own and loved him more than his own life. However, he was framed by a conspiracy and could only guard the frontier, not accompany Long Chen, let alone grow up with him. This is the irreparable pain in Long Chen's heart. Although Long Chen's tone is tentative, with his character, it is almost a plea. Hearing Long Chen's words, Long Zhan felt a pain in his heart and his eyes turned red. He patted Long Chen on the shoulder with his big hand, hugged him fiercely, and said in a deep voice, "Chainer, my father is incompetent and owes you too much, but I owe you more than one debt. Please forgive my father." "You? Have you heard from your mother?" Dragon Dust was surprised and happy. His previous disappointment was thrown out of the sky for a moment, and even his voice became trembling. Long Zhantian nodded and said, "I have eyebrows, so I can't pick you up in person. I'm sorry." No, there's nothing to be sorry about. Dad, you must get your mother back. I. At this point, Long Chen's voice choked and couldn't say any more. There were tears in his eyes. There were countless times in his sleep when he dreamed of his mother. He only heard her voice but didn't see her. Every time he woke up, he felt the pain of tearing his heart and lungs. This pain is unspeakable. He has never even mentioned it to his closest confidant. This is also the weakest side in his heart. Even in the face of his closest people, he doesn't want them to see it. "I understand. Don't worry. I can handle it. It's you. I'm very worried."
You've caught up with the best era and the most terrible era. Long Zhantian looked at Long Chen Road. Long Chen laughed and said, "Don't worry, I can handle it. I haven't served anyone in the so-called Tianjiao of the same level from the mortal world to the fairy world. As long as you can bring my mother back, even if the whole world is turned upside down, I am not afraid. What's more, I have a group of brothers who live and die. Who can help me?" When Long Chen spoke, he was very proud and excited to hear the news from his mother. This was great news for him, which made him full of confidence in the future and fearless of any challenges. Okay, this is the real man. The voice of the dragon turned to look at the sky, laughing and cheering. "Dragon dust is the son of my dragon and heaven. The way of heaven fights against each other. It's nothing to say. But if someone is shameless and bullies the small with the big, don't blame me for being rude. I put my words here first, not to scare anyone, but am used to being polite before the soldiers. Anyone who disagrees can try. I just hope that when my anger erupts, I hope you can be ready." The meaning of Long Zhantian is very obvious. Fighting between martial arts and Taoism, thousands of troops and horses crossing the single wooden bridge, disputes are inevitable, but he will not intervene in the struggle of the same generation. However, some people are shameless and bully the small with the big. Just like the former heavenly sage strong man, he is bound to retaliate afterwards. Before, he waved to destroy the foundation of the heavenly sage strong man, which is just a small warning and proves to the world that he has this strength. A separation can easily suppress the heavenly saint, who is not afraid of this strength. Even if some forces have the ability to defend terror, they may not be afraid of the challenge of dragon and heaven. But if the dragon and the sky don't destroy your sect, can you always kill your disciples? Since you can use the heavenly saint to kill your son, isn't it too much for others to kill your disciples? So will the disciples of this faction see the light? Do you want to be a shrinking turtle all your life? This is unrealistic. It can be said that the words of the dragon and the sky have an extremely powerful deterrent. "That guy, I didn't kill him," Long Zhantian said and whispered to Long Chen. Hey, I understand," Long Chen said with a smile. When Long Zhantian saw Long Chen's understanding, he immediately nodded and smiled, patted Long Chen's shoulder, and his figure darkened rapidly and disappeared in an instant. "God, it's not an entity." The local saint and the strong exclaimed that the split body is divided into shadow split body and entity split body. Shadow split body is generally used to confuse the other party. The power of this split body is not strong. It is usually used as bait to confuse the opponent. The entity separation is extremely powerful. The most powerful entity separation can reach about 70% or even 80% of the combat power of the statue, while the shadow separation is generally only about 20%, and the strongest will not exceed 30%. The separation of the dragon and the sky is so powerful that countless strong people can't notice it. If it's not pointed out by the strong people of the Tianren family, few of the strong people present can see it. However, the split that waved to suppress the heavenly saint turned out to be just a shadow split, which made the strong people present even more shocked. It's also the heavenly saint. The gap is too big. Boom! Just when everyone was shocked by the separation of dragon and sky, the void suddenly burst into pieces, and a figure broke through the air. One palm hit Longchen and the other palm came out. The divine power of heaven radiated for 9 days, and those with strong field strength were imprisoned for a moment. "Ren Xiefeng," someone exclaimed that the person who took the shot was no one else. It was Ren Xiefeng, the strong saint of Tianren family who left before. He didn't go, but hid. "Little bastard, die for me." Ren Xiefeng's face is twisted and gnashing his teeth. Like a bloodthirsty beast, he wants to shoot the dragon dust to death. Suddenly, even Guoran and others didn't react. Seeing Ren Xiefeng's return and raid on Longchen, they couldn't help but break their eyes. Yu Zifeng stretched out his hand and drew his sword, but it was too late. Poof, however, when Ren Xiefeng's palm was about to be photographed on Longchen, a cold light flashed, and Ren Xiefeng's arm rose into the sky. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall.
Chapter 4793 The long sword is like water, reflecting the heaven and earth. One sword cut off an arm of the strong man of heaven and man, and divided the whole world into two. There is a fault between heaven and earth. That day, with a roar, the sage of the Terran flew out upside down, but one of his arms remained here, one by one, isolated by a fault. Are you really bullying me that there is no one in Lingxiao Academy against Dean Longchen? Just then, an old man with a long sword appeared. The old man was dressed in a white robe, his face was clear and elegant, just like an old Confucian. He was no one else, but Biletian, the president of Lingxiao Academy. At this time, the weather degree of Baal was still the same, but there was a sharp spirit in his eyes. It seemed that the breath of the whole person had changed under the influence of his long sword. Choke. Without waiting for everyone to carefully observe the long sword has been sheathed. When Long Chen saw the scabbard, his heart couldn't help jumping wildly. Lingxiao sword. Although Long Chen has never seen Lingxiao sword, he has seen the scabbard of Lingxiao sword. At the beginning, Long Chen and Imputa were enemies. Biletian once held the scabbard and startled Imputa. Long Chen doesn't understand that Lingxiao divine sword is the lucky sword of Lingxiao Academy. How can the sword body and scabbard appear here at the same time? It is reasonable to say that this kind of pneumatic artifact cannot leave the academy. At least one of the sword body or scabbard needs to stay in the General Academy. This is the Lingxiao sword of Lingxiao Academy. The scabbard and body appear at the same time. The strong man exclaimed. Lingxiao divine sword is a combination of the spirit and strength of Lingxiao Academy for hundreds of millions of years. Its strength comes from the spirit of Lingxiao Academy. It is said that when Lingxiao Academy was at its peak, the power of Lingxiao divine sword was not matched by any weapon except the 10 supreme artifacts. However, Lingxiao divine sword, a powerful weapon of Qi luck, usually needs to suppress Qi luck. If they take it away, aren't they afraid of losing their foundation? Lingxiao divine sword is so famous that it is as strong as Lingxiao Academy, the first academy in 9 days and 10 places. People with a little knowledge have heard of Lingxiao divine sword. Although we have never seen the Lingxiao sword, or even heard of its appearance, a weapon can cut off the arms of the heavenly saint and the strong like chopping melons and vegetables, so that the fault between heaven and earth cannot be healed. Then this kind of magic weapon can only be achieved by the legendary Lingxiao sword. Return my arm. That day, the strong man of the Holy Family was shocked and angry. He roared, took out a shield and smashed it at the space fault. He wanted to take back his arm. Boom! The whole space was spewed out with blood, but he fell down. When his blood spewed out, like drops of lava, burning the void into black holes, the scene was terrible. That's natural blood essence. God, he didn't shake the space fault. Instead, he was badly hurt. It's not light. The heavenly saint is not so weak. He doesn't seem to be as powerful as I thought. Some young strongmen even have doubts about the heavenly sage strongman of the Tianren family. It's not that he is not strong enough, but that he has been badly hurt by Longchen's father before. In order to kill Longchen, he forced his injury down. Now he was cut off his arm, his breath was chaotic under his shock and anger, and then he was shot by a space fault. He was hurt, and he couldn't support it anymore. The strong man couldn't help sighing. Poof! At this time, the saint and strong man was spewing blood that day, and he couldn't stop it. As the old man said, the heavy blow given to him by Dragon Zhantian almost cost him half his life. He pressed it down with secret methods in order to kill Dragon Dust. But he didn't expect that in addition to his father, Longchen had a strong terrorist hiding nearby to protect his way and an arm. If it was in peacetime, he might not care. However, after being severely damaged by Long Zhantian, his foundation is seriously damaged, and there is even a risk of falling. If he can't regain his arm at this time, he will not be able to regenerate an arm in his life. If he tries his best to urge the heavenly shield in the heyday, he has a high probability of breaking through the fault, but he forgets that his state does not allow him to do so. As a result, he keeps spitting blood. At this time, Long Chen didn't forget to ridicule, Hey, are you finished? All the heroes in the world are here,
looking at you. It's not good for you to urinate everywhere. You. On that day, the sage and strong man of the Terran was angry and pointed at the dragon dust. As a result, he didn't say anything, but another mouthful of blood gushed wildly. Long Chen grabbed the arm of the strong saint that day with a big hand. When he saw the action of Long Chen, the strong saint was very anxious that day, but there was a space fault, so he could only be anxious. You either. Long Chen looked at his arm and looked at the strong man of Tianren nationality opposite, with a serious face. On that day, the sage and strong man of the Terran had no time to think more at this time. Like a chicken pounding rice, he kept nodding. Long Chen nodded and said, "Okay, wait a minute, I'll burn it for you." As Long Chen spoke, the white flame in his hand rose and wrapped the arm instantly. The terrible high temperature twisted the space in a large area. Stop, give me your arm back. I can promise you whatever you want. At this time, the holy strong man of the Terran seemed to slow down a little and could speak and scream in horror. What you said, who is my dragon dust? I said to burn it for you, so I'll burn it for you. When you go to another world, you can receive it. Dragon dust is righteous and strict. Some people almost didn't laugh. The dragon dust is too bad. I'm not dead. Why burn it to me? That day, the sage of the Terran roared. He had seen that the dragon dust was playing with him. You don't need those 3 or 2 days. I burned it in advance so that you won't have to wait when you go to another world. Dragon dust light tunnel. Boy, stop quickly or. That day, the human race's heavenly saint and strong man wanted to threaten Long Chen at this time, but there was Bai Ledian with Ling Xiao divine sword around Long Chen. He couldn't threaten him at all. He didn't know what to say for a while. At this time, the flame in Long Chen's hand became whiter and whiter, wrapping the arm of the saint and the strong on that day. The clothes on that arm had already been turned into ashes, but the arm remained motionless and undamaged under the burning of the flame. But even so, the strong man of Tianren family opposite still felt extremely anxious, because if Long Chen could not return his arm in time, even if he had this arm, he could not install it back after his injury completely broke out. This dragon dust is still too tender. It's the arm of the strong man of the heavenly saint. After being baptized by the robbery of the heavenly saint, it's already a King Kong that is not bad and water and fire are not invaded. Even if this flame burns for 100 years, I'm afraid it can't even burn the sweat. The strong shook his head. When they saw the flame of dragon dust, they looked very strong, but they couldn't feel any fluctuation. On the contrary, the hair of that arm was straight, as if they were making a silent mockery of dragon dust. For a moment, the whole audience was silent. Long Chen held his arm and stared at the strong man of Tianren nationality opposite the fault. Suddenly, Long Chen's big hand trembled. Boom! With a bang, the arms of the strong man of Tianren family burst open, and endless ice debris danced. Centered on the dragon dust, the ice covered the whole world. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4794. On that day, the arms of the strong man of the Terran saint burst open and turned into ice and snow scattered in the world. At that moment, countless strong people were shocked. No one thought that the seemingly ordinary flame of dragon dust really destroyed the arm of the heavenly saint. When the arms burst open and the ice and snow scattered, each piece of ice and snow flickered with flames, scorched the sky, and sent out a terrible high temperature, but I don't know why, the high temperature can't hide its cold chill. It is like the blending of ice and fire, which contains the power to destroy the sky and the earth. Looking at him makes people tremble. I haven't lost face. Dragon dust was calm on the surface, but he breathed a long sigh of relief in his heart. Before, dragon dust wanted to explode this arm with the power of stars, but he found that this arm could not bear the power of stars. He could not inject the power of stars into it. Longshan wants to burst him with the power of dragon blood, but he finds that the body of the heavenly saint is too strong, and he can't do it at all. But at that time, the posture has been put out, and can only summon the power of Ice Soul, which is the strongest power of Huelinger at present. Although the fire of the Taiyin and the fire of the sun rank above the ice soul, the purity of the fire of the Taiyin and the fire of the sun is far less than that of the ice soul divine flame. You know, the ice soul controlled by Huelinger is the original seed of ice soul. At the beginning, ice soul gave half of its original power to Huelinger. The ice soul seed of Huelinger will grow into a real ice soul flame sooner or later. Huelinger has absorbed the fire of the Taiyin and the fire of the sun for a long time. She has left most of these fire essence to Bingpu, so Bingpu's growth rate is extremely terrible. It finally lived up to the expectation of dragon dust and finally destroyed the arm of the heavenly saint. This also means that if Huelinger's icy spirit flame hits the key of the heavenly saint, it will definitely have a chance to hit the heavenly saint. That flame, my God, shouldn't it be the ice soul divine flame on the sky fire list? Someone exclaimed. If you can integrate the power of fire and cold ice into this terrible situation, I'm afraid only ice soul can do it. Someone sighed. This dragon dust is also too terrible. The cards are more frightening one by one. People are appalled that there are too many cards in dragon dust, one by one. Who would have thought that he still controls the ice soul flame on the sky fire list? Dragon dust's strength is like a bottomless pit. Before, he fought with Moon Wushu. People thought that he could be half as good as Moon Wushu at most, but unexpectedly, Moon Wushu was nothing in front of him. When the Holy Strong Man came, people thought that the dragon dust would suffer a great loss. As a result, the local Holy Strong Man appeared. People thought that the dragon dust would be killed. As a result, the local Holy Strong Man was killed within 10 moves. The more people watch the war, the more they find that the strength of Longchen is like a bottomless pit. After the continuous war, he is still full of vitality and energetic, just like nobody else. At this time, people finally know the definition of monster. Dragon dust. The strong man of the heavenly saint of the Tianren family opposite came a roar. He had to stand upright like a crazy lion to tear the dragon dust to pieces. You know, he used a secret method to suppress the heavy damage caused by the dragon and the sky. If he directly returns to the Tianren family and asks for great help from the family, he has a great chance to repair it. However, one arm was shattered by the dragon dust, and his limbs were incomplete. Even if he had the help of his people, it would not help. The fall of his realm was a certainty. At this time, he was angry and regretful. If he didn't act smart and think about attacking the dragon dust, he wouldn't fall into such a field. Unfortunately, there are not so many ifs in this world. Come and bite me? In the face of the angry strong man of Tianren family, Longchen carried the Keel Evil Moon, stretched out a finger and hooked it, with an arrogant face. Poof! On that day, the holy strong man of the Terran spewed blood. He was surprised and angry. Suddenly, he turned around and the figure disappeared in an instant. It turned out that his injury could no longer be suppressed. If he didn't return to the clan to heal, let alone the realm fell, he might even die here. The departure of Tiansheng strongman of Tianren family means that the dispute has come to an end. The gap of Tianren family's space door has long disappeared, and it is impossible to come directly to find a venue. Even if the door of space is opened again, in the face of Byletian with only Lingxiao divine sword, the Tianren family may not dare to fart a complete fart. The strong people of all ethnic groups also summoned their disciples and left slowly. Many disciples adored dragon dust and wanted to say hello, but they were dragged away by the older generation of strong people of all ethnic groups. It's hard for a phoenix to fly with a swallow and a finch. How can a dragon play with fish and shrimp? Do you think you are qualified to make friends with such a monster? If you want to make friends with him, you must first reach a height that makes people look up to you. Otherwise, even if he treats you perfunctorily, what's the point? Do you insult yourself? The words of the older generation of strong people are very ugly, but they are also very realistic. Longchen is a person who can kill even the Earth Saint strong people. Although they are in the same era, they have an insurmountable gap with each other. Practice hard, or you won't even be qualified to make friends. How sad is this? A young 9-star destiny sighed and left with the crowd.
He is a 9-star destiny. In his original world, he is a lofty, arrogant, and a leader who responds to every call. However, when he comes here, he seems to be in the boundless sea. With his strength, he can't even lift a little spray. All kinds of strong people have left. Today, they have seen the real strong people. However, they have also felt great encouragement while being hit hard. Because Longchen is not the local Tianjiao. Like them, since Longchen can do it, it shows that they also have a chance. Although the chance is slim, it is better to have it than not. Dean Longchen, you're all right. At this time, Bai Letian came to Longchen with Ling Xiao magic sword on his back and smiled. At this time, Bai Letian regained his previous elegance. He was completely different from him when he shot before, as if he had changed a person. I've seen the Dean. I haven't thanked the Dean for saving my life. Hey, I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. Longchen looked at Bai Letian and couldn't help laughing bitterly. At this time, he finally saw Bai Lishan's cultivation. This is a real saint of heaven. At first, when Longchen saw Bai Letian, Bai Lishan's cultivation was a fairy king. Later, Bai Lishan's cultivation became invisible. No matter how strong Longchen becomes, he can't see through Bai Lishan's cultivation. Now Longchen understands how terrible the Dean is. At the same time, there was a silence. Ling Xiao Academy was full of drama from top to bottom. At the beginning, Bai Letian was carrying the scabbard of Ling Xiao Divine Sword to block Imputa. Considering Bai Lishan's dignified expression at that time, Longchen felt a burst of laughter. To put it bluntly, Bai Latte farted at that time, which could shock Imputa to death, but he acted so lifelike that he was really a traitor, a slippery horse, an old rabbit, and an eagle. Bai Letian smiled and was about to speak when a group of people came to Longchen. When Longse and others saw these people, they quickly bowed and saluted. I've seen Lord Tianzi. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4795. When Longxi River saw Lord Tianzi, although he pretended to be calm, there was still a look of fear in his eyes, because he saw something bad from Lord Tianzi's serious face. Previously, he played a smart game and wanted to push the dragon dust into the fire pit. He was seen through by the dragon dust and ridiculed. All these were seen in the eyes of Lord Tianzi. Now when Lord Tianzi came, he suddenly felt his scalp numb, as if he had been taken to the Hall of Judgment. Shiha, you let me down? Lord Tianzi looked at Longxi River and sighed. The whole body of Longxi River was shocked. From this sigh, he understood that he was careful. Lord Tianzi saw it clearly. Longxi River trembled and fell to his knees with a puff. Just about to speak, Lord Tianzi shook his head and said, If you knew today, why did you have to go back? Take someone back. The opportunity is given to you, but you didn't seize it. You can't blame others. When Longxi River heard this, his face turned gray. At this time, he understood why the high level sent him to find Longchen. This is a test, and Longxi missed the biggest opportunity in his life. Now not only did he not catch the opportunity, but when he returned, the elder's position could not be maintained, and his former glory would never come back. Longxi River can only lower his head and take others away. His back is full of loneliness, like a dying old man walking silently to his graveyard. Longchen looked at the back of Longxi River, but there was no pity. Such a person is not worthy of sympathy, because he never sympathizes with others. After Lord Tianzi drove away the Longxi River, with a big hand, a golden token flew to Longchen. Longchen was stunned and subconsciously reached out to catch it. The token is only the size of a palm. It is very heavy to start with. The cold touch and vast fluctuation are enough to prove that the of this token is not simple. The token is engraved with the word "see" and surrounded by numerous runes, which seems to contain some array. This is my identification plate. With it, you can go in and out of all the boundaries of the dragon family at will. If you need help, you can mobilize all the teams of the dragon family. My dragon family has its own strongholds in the ancient cities of Emperor Huangtian. If there is something missing, you can enter all the treasures of the dragon family with a token. Tianzi Great Humanity. On the same day, Lord C threw out this token,
And even the strong people of the dragon family around him opened their mouths. That's the identity plate of Lord Tianshi. Holding this token is like Lord Tianshi's personal visit. The right of this token is too terrible. It's too exaggerated to give it to Long Chen. You're so kind, sir. Long Chen was also surprised, but he didn't want to accept the kindness of the dragon family. After all, he didn't think about whether to go to the dragon family. He didn't want to be favored by others. Besides, he didn't like the dragon family very much because of the relationship between the dragon West River. Take it. Even if you don't return to the dragon family, you are still a member of my dragon family, and my dragon family's blood is flowing in your body. Your father and your father's subordinates are in the dragon's house. You can't never go to the dragon's house. It'll be much more convenient. At least you won't be made difficult by some boring kids. Just give me the token when you go to the door. Tianxi, great humanity. After saying that, Lord Tianxi didn't give Long Chen the chance to refuse. He arched his hand at Bai Ledian. It was a simple gift, so he took people away. What do you mean? It depends on the boss. Are you strong enough to buy it? Guoran and others came to Long Chen at this time. Looking at the gold token in Long Chen's hand, Guoran couldn't help sneering at Dashu. It's not too late to make up for the lost sheep. Lord Tianxi is not annoying. Don't worry about him. Let's talk about it later. Long Chen looked at the token and put it away. Lord Tianxi left a good impression on him. He felt upright and selfless to Long Chen, and he was quite intelligent. He acted decisively and simply, which made people feel good. Although Long Chen knows that Lord Tianxi sent him a token and is suspected of buying him off, this pen is really impressive. From the expressions of those people around Lord Tianxi, we can see the importance of this token. Grandpa. At this time, Bai Xiaola and Bai Shishir came to Bai Ledian. This time, they didn't call the dean as they did in the academy. Because it wasn't in the academy, they changed their name. Good boy, you grow up so fast that you will be the mainstay of the academy in the future. Bai Ledian looked at Bai Xiaola and Bai Shishir with a look of satisfaction. Their growth rate completely exceeded his estimate. Bai Xiaola, in particular, has been almost completely reborn. He has grown from a coward who can only cry to a super strong man who can stand alone. As a grandfather, he is very happy. Dad, why don't you do it first? Bai Zhantong complained that he was robbed of the limelight by Long Chen's father because of such a good opportunity for leeway. He was a little unhappy, although it was his future in-laws. Because Long Chen's father has something important, I'm a very idle old man. Naturally, I came out later. Bai Ledian smiled. You saw my father before? Dragon Dust was surprised and delighted. Bai Ledian nodded and said, not only did you see him, but also communicated for a while. Your father was going to kill him today. But those hidden enemies didn't show up. Because he had something important to do, he couldn't wait any longer, so he left in a hurry with you. Hidden enemy? Everyone was surprised. Bai Ledian nodded and said, the vision of the Tianren family is as cunning as a fox, but I didn't expect to be put forward this time. I made a bird myself, but others can't shrink. What you said is. Long Chen suddenly realized. Yes, it's the forces behind those guys who were killed by you in the robbery. Some of them are not inferior to the Tianren family. Unfortunately, they hid in the dark and refused to appear. What your father put down was actually for them. When your father left, those guys also scattered. At first, I thought I didn't need my hand. As a result, the Tianren guy didn't want me to come in vain and gave me a chance to show my face. Bai Ledian smiled. Dragon Dust suddenly realized that his father's words were for those people. As soon as his father left, the group of people disappeared. It seems that they dare not fight against his father's will. Thinking of this, Long Chen felt a trace of sympathy for the guy of the Terran for the first time. This guy was really unlucky. He was used as a test tool by others, and as a power tool by Bai Ledian and Long Zhantian. Children, welcome to Emperor Huang Tian. Next, come to Lingshao Academy. Bai Latte made a gesture of welcome. Then, Bai Latte's long sword came out of its scabbard and cut open the void with one sword. Unexpectedly, he cut out a door. Dragon Dust and others poured into the portal together. When Bai Letian also entered, the portal closed and the world returned to its previous calm. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4796, Buzz. When the door of space is opened, there are crumbling mountains in front of us. The earth is full of holes and ravines. Endless lava and flood are intertwined in the ravines, filled with steam, and the whole world is full of dirty smell. How could this happen? When he saw the world in front of him, Bai Zhantong roared and rushed out. And Long Chen and others were stunned. There was an image of annihilation in front of him. At that time, Long Chen wondered whether the dean had sent the wrong message, but when he heard the roar of Bai Zhantong, Long Chen felt a thump in his heart. He knew something had happened. Bai Lishan's face also changed. Holding the Lingxiao magic sword, he suddenly disappeared. Looking at the 9 days, the runes of the heavenly way circulated. He knew that the enemy should have just left and the dean went after people. Boss, do you want to? Xia Chen took out the array plate, but Long Chen shook his head and said, this may be a trap. Only the dean has the strength to chase and kill them. If we rush after them, we may be right in the trap of the enemy. Let's go down and have a look first. Dragon Dust with the people rushed to the sky, followed the direction of Bai Zhantong, through the heavy fog, and they came to a high mountain. The mountain is covered with hard rocks for thousands of miles. The rocks are golden. At first glance, they are natural mineral veins. At this time, the mountain has been flattened, and the incision is as smooth as a mirror. At first glance, it is cut by the sharp blade of terror, and there is still the smell of heavenly sage and strong on it. When he came here, Guoran couldn't help taking a breath of air conditioning. As a caster, he saw at a glance what level the immortal gold contained in the ore is. This ore is extremely hard, but it can be cut off like a melon. The strength of the person who took the shot is too terrible. When Long Chen and others set foot on the mountain, tens of thousands of strong people wearing academy clothes have gathered here. What shocked Guoran and others most is that the strong people here have the worst cultivation and are also at the Saint King level. Mother! Before Long Chen and others could be shocked, Bai Shishir suddenly screamed, rushed out and passed through the crowd. Long Chen saw Bai Shishi's mother. At this time, her face was like gold paper and her air was like a hairspring. Long Chen couldn't help being startled and hurried to her side. Nyang, Nyang, what's the matter with you? At this time, Bai Shishir saw her mother's appearance and burst into tears. The whole person was flustered and kept calling her mother. Bai Zhantong and Bai Shaole's mother each stretched out a palm to heal Bai Shishi's mother. Bai Shaole's mother also had several scars on her body, and her clothes were red with blood. At this time, she ignored these and concentrated on healing Bai Shishi's mother. Who? Bai Shishir suddenly stretched out a hand and pressed it on her mother's chest. At that moment, Bai Zhantong and Bai Shaole's mother were surprised. Pa, Long Chen grabbed Bai Shishi's hand and said, "You're so emotional now that Jin Zhili is extremely unstable. It's not suitable for healing others." If someone else stopped Bai Shishir, she would be furious. But when Long Chen said this, she burst into tears. Long Chen was right. Her state of mind has been chaotic. If she forcibly healed her mother, it will aggravate her mother's injury. Bai Shishir was angry and anxious. It was useless for her to hate herself. Only her golden power could quickly stabilize her mother's injury, but she couldn't calm down at the critical moment. She was going crazy. Long Chen took out a pill and put it into Bai Shishi's mother's mouth. It was a top-quality holy pill, wrapped in Dan clothes, in order to isolate the peeping of heaven. But at this time, Bai Shishi's mother was seriously injured and couldn't finish swallowing. Long Chen winked at Bai Zhantong. Bai Zhantong suddenly had a hot face. Finally, he clenched his teeth, kissed Bai Shishi's mother's mouth in front of everyone, and sent the pill into her stomach with genuine qi. Cough. Soon Bai Shishi's mother coughed violently. Every time she coughed, a large amount of black gas would be emitted from her mouth and nose. Long Chen hurriedly pulled Bai Shishir away. The black gas sprayed on the ground, and the gold ore on the earth immediately hissed, and was corroded into honeycomb holes by the black gas. My God, what is this? So terrible? Guoran exclaimed that the black gas could corrode the ore. I'm afraid even the holy soldiers would be melted by it. Bai Shishi's mother coughed up 7 mouthfuls of black gas. At first, the black gas smelled like ink and then gradually faded. A trace of blood finally returned to Bai Shishi's mother's face. Bai Shishi's mother glanced around with dim eyes. When she saw Bai Shishir, her eyes lit up obviously. Shishir. Mom, I'm here, Mom, I'm sorry. Bai Shishir held her mother and cried loudly. She has never seen her mother hurt or even suffered skin trauma since she remembered. In her heart, her mother is her idol and the invincible goddess of war. Now, seeing her mother seriously injured and dying, her head is blank and the whole person's thoughts are confused, and she can't even calm down. Bai Shishi's mother fondled Bai Shishi's cheek with a kind smile on her pale face. Silly boy, why apologize? Come on, let me see you. I can't see you for such a long time. I miss your sister and brother. At this time, Bai Xiaola also came and knelt in front of Bai Shishi's mother. He said with tears in his eyes and gnashing his teeth, Aunt, tell me who did it. I'll avenge you. Seeing Bai Xiaola gnashing her teeth, Bai Shishi's mother said with a smile, My Xiaola has grown up, and you have all grown up. It's nice. Cough. With that, Bai Shishi's mother began to cough violently again. Long Chen hurriedly asked Bai Xiaola to give way and took out another pill. I'm fine. Don't waste this peerless treasure pill. Bai Shishi's mother saw the pill and waved her hand quickly. Bai Shishi's mother was seriously injured before. Almost on her deathbed, it was Long Chen's pill that forcibly pulled her back from the gate of death. Although she was seriously injured, she knew that the pill given to her by Long Chen was absolutely the best treasure. One pill would directly suppress the injury. Although she had never seen the peerless holy pill, she had suspected that what Long Chen took for her was the legendary existence, otherwise she could not have such a powerful power. So when Long Chen wanted to give her pill again, she refused directly. This pill was too precious and almost equivalent to another life. She didn't want to waste this treasure pill. What you said, give it to your mother. How can you waste it? After all, your mother-in-law is also a mother. Long Chen smiled. His face was not red and his heart did not jump. Long Chen said this, Bai Shishir suddenly blushed, and this guy was too thick-skinned. Cough, Bai Zhantong was a little upset next to him. He coughed twice. He hasn't agreed to this. What is this guy doing? What's wrong with you, old man? Dragon Dust asked deliberately. Long Chen deliberately removed the person from his father-in-law. This title sounds very funny. Guoran and others were almost happy, and Bai Zhantang's face turned black at once. Well, it's hard for you to be filial. Bai Shishi's mother smiled, reached for the pill and swallowed it. When the pill was swallowed, Bai Shishi's mother was shocked. The wounds in her body were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, her vitality was recovering rapidly. Bai Shishi's mother looked at Long Chen and couldn't help shaking her hair and sighing, You child. In fact, after swallowing the first unique holy pill, Bai Shishi's mother is no longer in great trouble. It only takes half a month to recover 70 to 80%. Bai Shishi's mother loves this pill very much. It's nothing. After all, it's my own property. Without it, I can refine it again. Dragon Dust signaled no harm, then looked serious and said, What the hell happened here? You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4797. It's a group of people who hide their identity. They don't even use their own magic weapons. There are more than 30, all of them strong men of heavenly saint level. Bai Xiaola's mother replied on behalf of Bai Shishi's mother. When Long Chen heard about more than 30 heavenly saints, he couldn't help taking a breath of air conditioning. What force is it that has so many heavenly saints? Senior, if I'm not mistaken, it should be the strong man from the underworld who hurt you. Dragon Dust asked. It should be that his power has the law of the underworld, and it is also accompanied by the poison of the netherworld. Even my golden power can corrode, which is very terrible. Bai Shishi's mother nodded with lingering fear. But it's strange that we don't seem to have conflicts with all the races in the underworld at present. It's reasonable to say that they don't have to be enemies with us. Moreover, the strong men of the raid hardly used their original strength and could not recognize their origin at all. If the elder sister didn't trap the heavenly sage with the power of gold and he had to do his best to deal with it, we wouldn't know he came from the underworld. Bai Shishi's mother looked dignified and authentic. A group of bastards, don't let me catch them while I'm not doing a sneak attack, or I'll let them taste the taste of ghosts devouring souls. Bai Zhantong gnashing his teeth tunnel. Seeing his beloved wife injured, he was distressed and angry, but he had no place to use his strength. Obviously, their attack was well planned. They killed them suddenly while Lingxiao's sword was away. Fortunately, you came back in time, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. Bai Shishi's mother said. Long Chen inquired about the time of those people's sneak attack and retreat, and slightly calculated, when they took action, it was the moment when the dean appeared in front of the 9-day gate, and their evacuation time was just one step ahead of us, and the timing was not bad. Obviously, someone is peeping at the dean's every move. Therefore, we can complete the sneak attack without revealing water. Dragon Dust pondered for a moment. Impossible. Bai Zhantong and Bai Shishi's mother almost spoke with one voice. Bai Shaole's mother also shook her head and said, the dean is holding the Lingxiao divine sword. Any peeping and calculation will be sensed. The Lingxiao divine sword is the spiritual artifact of our Lingxiao Academy. Who can? Speaking of this, Bai Shaole's mother suddenly changed her face. At the same time, Bai Shishi's mother, Bai Zhantong and the strong men of the academy all changed their faces. Unless... Bai Shishi's mother trembled. Buzz, suddenly, the void trembled, and the figure of Bai Letian appeared. At this time, Bai Lishan's face was very dignified. Needless to ask, he chased out without any result. Unless it is stronger than Lingxiao divine sword, you can spy on my whereabouts. Bai Letian then said before Bai Shishi's mother finished. A stronger presence? Long Chen's heart jumped wildly. He immediately contacted the Heaven and Earth tripod with his soul, but the Heaven and Earth tripod said, if you can accurately spy on him, it must also be an air luck divine soldier. Moreover, the air luck it suppressed must be stronger than Lingxiao divine sword, and the force it belongs to must be more prosperous than the current Lingxiao Academy. Dean. Long Chen wants to ask Bai Letian. He thinks Bai Letian may have guessed who the other party is. This matter will be put aside for the time being. After all, we will only eat this loss once. Come on, Long Chen, let me introduce you to the 4 Dharma protectors of our college. Bai Letian said something and 4 people stood up. When the 4 people came out, Long Chen's eyes lit up and recognized one of them as an iron tower. It was none other than Elder Tianlei. Dean Longchen, you're all right. Elder Tianlei looked at Longchen and smiled. Elder Tianlei, you are a strong man of Tianxing level. You can hide it from me. Longchen couldn't help laughing bitterly. These guys are hiding too deep. I didn't hide it. When I saw you, my accomplishments were what they were. They were genuine and honest. However, I have stayed in this realm for tens of thousands of years. I practice hard every day and dare not relax at all. I have waited for tens of thousands of years for this day. Elder Tianlei laughed. Dragon Dust suddenly understood that the strong men of the Emotional Academy had endured for countless years, and what they were waiting for was today's opportunity. The so-called natural course, they have worked hard for countless years and accumulated a lot. When the opportunity comes, they will soar to the sky and become a blockbuster. Come on, let me introduce you. This is Elder Ling Tian, Elder Fu Di and Elder Zhanfeng. Elder Tianlei introduced the other 3 people to Longchen. Elder Ling Tian is a middle-aged man with elegant face and 3 wisps of long beard. He is dressed in white, spotless, and doesn't carry any weapons. He gives people an extremely strong affinity. The Elder Fu Di is actually a young woman. Of course, the so-called youth is judged by appearance. As for age, you can't talk nonsense. There is a vast fluctuation of the earth force on the earth covering Elder. At first glance, he is a powerful controller of the earth force.
Although Li Qi and Song Mingyuan are also practitioners of the earth force, they are not at the same level. The elder Chopper Feng was a man with a cold face and a serious smile. He just nodded to Long Chen, which was a courtesy. However, Elder Fu Di and Elder Ling Tianchong were very polite to Long Chen. Both sides said a few words. Long Chen found that the 4 elders of heaven, earth, wind and thunder were full of confidence and showed no signs of injury. He couldn't help admiring them in his heart. Among the strong men present, only 4 of them are the heavenly saints. In the previous war, they must be the main force. In the face of the raid of more than 30 heavenly saints, the pressure they bear must be amazing. Moreover, in order to be in a hurry, the other party must be furious. It can be seen how strong the 4 people are. If Bai Shishi's mother is not willing to let these people escape and trap one of them with her own magic power, she will not be so seriously injured. However, Bai Shishi's mother, at this time, is just the cultivation of the Holy King. She trapped the heavenly saint with the Holy King, and the heavenly saint's strong man had to fight back with all his strength. It can also be seen that her strength is also extremely terrible. It can be said that the inside information of Lingxiao Academy is extremely terrible. If Bai Shishi's mother, Bai Shaola's mother and Bai Zhantong advanced heavenly saint, it is absolutely a super powerful existence. After greeting the people in Lingxiao Academy, Long Chen turned his head and looked at the strong people who followed him into the Emperor's heaven. Lang said, "You see, my friends, Lingxiao Academy has just suffered a sneak attack. It's a little embarrassed. However, it's no problem to provide you with a shelter from the wind and rain. If you don't mind, you can settle down here first. Our college will try its best to protect your safety. If someone is in a hurry to go out and have a look, I won't stop him. I can only wish you good luck here." At first, these people followed Long Chen and planned to enjoy the cool under the big tree, but now they are afraid to see Lingxiao Academy being beaten like this, for fear that they will suffer from fish in the pond. Dragon Dust's last words are for these people. If you're afraid, just leave. There's nothing to be ashamed of. As soon as Long Chen said this, many people immediately thanked Long Chen and said they wanted to go out and practice. Of course, we all know what they think. However, there are also some strong people who choose to believe in Long Chen and Lingxiao Academy and stay. They are also after careful consideration. After all, they are not familiar here. Their cultivation is not enough to protect themselves. Only a small half of them left, and most of them stayed and expressed their willingness to contribute to Lingxiao Academy during this period of time. The disciples of Xinghe's sect are no different from those of Lingxiao Academy. Naturally, they will not leave. When Long Chen is ready to ask Feng Yu what plans they have, suddenly, there was a sound from a distance. "I'm a disciple of the Beast Melting Clan, but I'm here?" You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4798. The sound was strong, just like the drum of God, echoed in the mountains and resounded through the heaven and earth. Although it was a human voice, it was accompanied by the roar of wild animals. It sounded strange. The sound made everyone's drums roar, and the voice contained the will of heaven. Everyone was surprised. This sound can only be made by the strong man of heaven saint level. It's the ancestor of our melting beast family. Feng Yu exclaimed with surprise and joy, "Disciple Feng Yu, knock to see my ancestor." Buzz, the void trembled, and a group of strong men broke through the air. The leader was an old man with golden hair, a face like a gold plate and silver horns. As soon as the old man appeared, his chi and blood rushed to the sky. The young disciples present were immediately very uncomfortable by his chi and blood pressure. Some even looked like Venus and were shaky. Behind the old man with silver horn, there are also 2 strong heavenly saints, and then there are a group of young men and women, hundreds of people. These people all have the characteristics of monsters and beasts. At a glance, they all know that they are the strong ones of the melting beast family. Long Chen frowned when he looked at these people. These people are too savage and don't understand etiquette. Since they come to the territory of Lingxiao Academy, they should restrain their breath and make a fool of other people's disciples with their own authority. It's unreasonable. Of course, the pressure of dragon dust is not serious,
and the dragon blood warrior doesn't feel much, but other disciples can't bear it. Met my grandfather, Feng Yu took the lead. All the strong men of the beast-melting family fell to the ground and saluted the old man. The old man with silver horn waved his hand and said coldly, "Get up." Hearing the old man's tone, Feng Yu was stunned. She felt a little bad, but she didn't know why the old ancestor spoke in such a tone. "You are such a naive girl. How can you leave with a group of messy people? It makes us empty." The old man with silver horn scolded coldly. Dragon Dust heard this sentence and suddenly his face sank. What is a mess of people? Just when Long Chen wanted to question the man, Yu Qingxian held him. Yu Qingxian shook his head at Long Chen. Her meaning is obvious. This person is the ancestor of Feng Yu. If Long Chen offends him, it will be on Fengjia's head in the end, which will only make Feng Yu more embarrassed. Why doesn't Dragon Dust understand this? However, the old guy is too much. He doesn't have anything. The dean is still here. What's the face of the dean? Please calm down. It's all Fengjia's fault. Feng Yu is willing to bear all the punishment. Feng Yu also saw something bad and hurriedly said. In fact, she secretly complained in her heart. She knew Long Chen's temper too well. It was a lord who was not afraid of heaven and earth. If she annoyed Long Chen really dared to erase all these people. Although Long Chen is not the opponent of the strong man of heaven and earth, there are 4 masters of heaven and earth, wind and thunder in Lingxiao Academy, not to mention the Lingxiao Divine Sword. If it gets big, it will only be the Rong Beast family, which she doesn't want to see. All right, forget it. Remember, since we have come to the Emperor and Heaven and integrated into our beast-melting alliance, we can't be capricious and reckless in everything, okay? The old man with silver horn said. I understand. I promise I will never make similar mistakes in the future. Please calm down and give Feng Yu a chance to reform. Feng Yu heard. Seeing Feng Yu apologize, Long Chen, Guoran, Yu Zifeng and others looked at each other, and they all saw the regret in each other's eyes. Feng Yu finally lowered her arrogant head, a person who is not afraid of death, but finally bowed to reality. Since there is nothing wrong, why admit it? And this kind of confession is to give way. On the road of cultivation, step by step we must step back. Finally, there is no retreat, and the road of cultivation will come to an end. Get up and go back if you have anything. The old man with silver horns waved his hand and motioned the people to get up. Feng Yu and others hurriedly got up and silently walked behind the old man with silver horns. At this time, they seemed so restrained and frightened. Perhaps for Long Chen and others, joining a force is equal and mutually beneficial, but for many people, joining a powerful force will not have to be afraid, run around, or be displaced. For them, this opportunity is too rare. For Feng Yu and others who survive in the cracks, being able to join the beast-melting alliance is tantamount to finding the final destination. At the same time, this is also the lifelong wish of countless strong people of the older generation of the beast-melting family, which has finally been realized in her generation. No one cherishes this opportunity more than Feng Yu and others. Therefore, what dignity and personality are not so important at this time. As long as they can join this alliance, they are satisfied. Are you Dragon Dust? Just as they were returning, behind the old man with silver horns, a man with wings on his back and a long golden sword looked at the Dragon Dust Road with his chin. But Long Chen didn't pay attention to the man, because Feng Yu just passed by him. Long Chen stretched out his hand and patted Feng Yu on the arm and said, "Remember, we were comrades in arms who fought side by side." Long Chen usually pats others on the shoulder, but Feng Yu is too high. Long Chen needs to raise his feet to pat her on the shoulder, which is too embarrassing. Hearing Long Chen's words, Feng Yu's eyes turned red, bit her lips, nodded, wanted to say something, but she didn't say anything. She understands what Long Chen means. Long Chen has recognized her comrade in arms, that is, no matter what difficulty she has in the future, she can ask Long Chen for help. She knows the personality of Long Chen. This is a real man with a promise. A promise that he can go to Tangdao Fire and fight to death for people. Long Chen's promise is the most precious thing in the world. Feng Yu stretched out her jade hand and patted Long Chen's arm. Then she turned and left. Looking at the back of Fengyu, Longchen didn't know why and gave birth to a feeling of loss. Hey, are you deaf? I'm asking you. Just then, the strong man of the melting beast family who asked Longchen before roared and rushed out. As a result, before his words were finished, Longchen slapped him in the face and knocked him to the ground. The boy is shameless. He even makes a move. The old man who gave birth to Silverhorn had tacitly agreed to the disciple's action, because he just heard some news about Longchen in front of the 9 Days Gate, but he couldn't believe it. Therefore, the disciple's provocation was also inspired by him. The disciple is the leader of the young generation of the Union of Melting Beasts. Although he is not the strongest, he is by no means an ordinary person. He is trying to test the depth of dragon dust with him. As a result, the guy was slapped to the ground by Longchen before he made a move. He was immediately angry and stretched out his hand to catch Longchen. A big hand blocked him. It was a big hand full of thunder symbols. It was Elder Tianlei who shot. With a bang, the old man with silver horn was shocked back by the elder to. The light of thunder circulated on him and flickered for several times before disappearing. Do you really deceive me that there is no one in Lingxiao Academy? If it wasn't for the friendship between Dean Longchen and Nvois, I dare swear that you, old and young, can't live to see the sun tomorrow. Elder Tianlei has a gloomy face. Elder Tianlei has a hot temper and can't help it. It's shameless for the small one to lose money and the old one to fight. You. The old man with silver horn snorted coldly. Okay, you'll see how long a declining academy can last. Let's go. The old man with silver horn waved his hand and led the strong man of the melting beast family to leave. In the crowd, Fengyu also left with the people, but he didn't look back, so he disappeared in the sight of the people. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4799 The Holy Strong Man of the Beast Melting Alliance left. The strong man who was slapped down by the dragon dust, with an unconvinced face, was forcibly pulled away by an old man. I really don't know how to live or die. He doesn't know how many times he has died if it wasn't for Feng Fei. Guoran couldn't help swearing when the strong men of the Melting Beast Alliance left. Longchen, you slapped the man in the face. Feng, you may have a hard time. Yu Qingxian sighed. Everyone can see that although Fenjia's talents and qualifications are the best choice, the saint and strong did not give her enough respect that day, but had a sense of bossy. The disciples who came with the saint strong on that day looked that they were all local strong people. In their bones, they had an inexplicable sense of superiority. The guy who provoked the dragon dust dared to challenge the dragon dust because he couldn't even see the strength of the dragon dust. He was not expected to be much stronger, but he was still unscrupulous. It can be seen that the arrogance of the local strong is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. I can't help it. I'm selfish and let me swallow my anger. I can't do it. I didn't shoot him dead. It's already a face for Fengyu. Dragon Dust shook his head. According to Longchen's temper, he will never show mercy to such people, otherwise Longchen will not kill in front of the Gate of 9 Days. President Longchen, although you try to avoid embarrassment, I'm afraid your efforts are futile. The Melting Beast Alliance deliberately chased here and acted domineering. There must be support behind it. That girl is likely to become your enemy in the future. You should be mentally prepared. Bail Tiandao. Let her go. If fate comes, it can't be resisted. If fate goes, it can't be retained. If one day we really meet, I can't help it. Dragon Dust sighed. With the shrewdness of Dragon Dust, how can we not see the intention of Melting Beast Alliance? Even after Fengyu joined the Beast Melting Alliance, the images of various exclusion and discrimination have appeared in Longchen's mind. Longchen has experienced too many such things. Those local strongmen will certainly look down on them as outsiders, and internal disputes are very fierce for any powerful force. These forces are also happy to see young people fighting with each other. As long as they do not cause large-scale killings, they will be allowed to act recklessly. Only through fighting can we see a person's potential in the future. No matter how powerful a force is, resources are limited. The so-called good steel must be used on the blade. In order to avoid waste, geniuses are like breeding poisonous insects. Through fierce competition, they decide the distribution of resources in the future. At ordinary times, there is no dispute among the disciples. The senior leaders will provoke disputes and contradictions through various martial arts meetings, god of war lists, and other activities, let alone the inherent hostility between local disciples and foreign disciples. Even if there is no dragon dust, the life of Feng Yu and others will not be easy. Of course, the slap of dragon dust will make Fenjia's situation worse, but dragon dust has no way at all. Life can be changed, but the only person who can change her fate is herself. She doesn't work hard, let alone me, not even the Emperor of Heaven. Long Chen sighed again. Anyway, Long Chen has said everything to Feng Yu. As for how Feng Yu chooses, it's her business. Today, there are no outsiders here. Bai Latte has arranged people to receive the disciples and guests of the academy. It is already a piece of ruins. The divine power of the saint remains in the space. Most people feel extremely uncomfortable in this environment. Lingxiao Academy can only move its foothold to the side. Half a day away from the original location, they found a place with a relatively good environment to settle down. Anywhere in the Emperor's heaven, the aura is extremely abundant, and the laws of heaven cover all aspects. Here, even if you don't have to practice hard, you can quickly communicate between heaven and earth, integrate the laws of heaven into yourself, and eliminate the exclusion of heaven from yourself. In a temporary hall, Longchen, Bai Ledian, Bai Zhantang, Bai Shishi's mother, Bai Shaole's mother, and the 4 elders of heaven, earth, wind, and thunder gathered together. Bai Ledian looked serious and said, Dean Longchen, before coming to the exhibition hall, the deputy hall lord had simply told you about the things here. However, during the period when he left, we had an in-depth understanding of the situation here and found that the situation here is worse than we thought. How bad? Dragon Dust asked. Bai Ledian said, the Imperial Academy is the first and strongest branch of our Lingxiao Academy, which is related to the future rise and fall of our academy. Although we are ready to deal with any emergencies, we still didn't expect that our enemies would be so cruel that they even attracted foreign demons to guard our academy. Foreign demons? What's that? Why have I never heard of it? This time, even the White Exhibition Hall was surprised. When he left, Bai Ledian and others only explored the periphery of the academy. Although the form was severe and the evil spirits were endless, there was Lingxiao Divine Sword. These problems were not problems. At that time, Bai Zhantang thought that the biggest problem was how to minimize casualties. He was even more afraid that when they attacked the academy, the enemy would attack behind their back. However, he had never heard of the name of extraterritorial heavenly devil. Bai Zhantang has never heard of it, and the well-read Dragon Dust has never heard of the word extraterritorial heaven devil, and Dragon Dust is also shocked. Bai Shaole's mother explained, the so-called extraterritorial demons are extraterrestrial species left during the Chaos War, which do not belong to 9 days and 10 places and are not bound by the 3 realms and 6 laws. The name of extraterritorial heavenly demons is the name of our human race. According to our cognition, they have the smell of Demon Clan, which should be the same as the existence of Demon Clan. But they have a special breath. They have mysterious forces that override the laws of the world, and even some forces that we can't explain. For example, they have the ability to devour and corrode gas transportation, which is also the reason we are most afraid of. Devour and corrode gas transport? When Bai Zhantang heard this, his face immediately became extremely ugly. Long Chen finally understood the key point. The extraterritorial demons have this power, which is just to restrain Lingxiao Academy. Were they deliberately attracted? Dragon Dust asked. Bai Ledian nodded. Brahma's Valley, Bai Ledian spit out 4 words. When hearing these 4 words, Long Chen seemed to be awakened by thunder. Long Chen stood up at once, clenched his fist unknowingly, and clenched his teeth and spit out 3 words, Brahma? You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall.
Chapter 4800 Vatican Pill Valley and Dragon Dust heard the name when they were making trouble within the life-hunting clan. Pill Valley is the holy land of pills in Tianwu continent, which almost monopolizes the supply of pills in the whole Tianwu continent. But when Long Chen came to the fairyland, he found that there were many elixirs here. All kinds of sects and even major chambers of commerce had their own alchemy trade union. Even Lingshao Academy has its own Danyuan. Long Chen almost forgot the name of Dangu, but once he heard the name of Dangu, Long Chen would immediately think of Brahma. Brahma's valley has always been in the Emperor's heaven? Dragon Dust asked. Bailetian nodded. He briefly told Long Chen about Brahma's valley. It turned out that Brahma's valley is the peak of the world's Dandao and one of the strongest strengths in 9 days and 10 places. Besides, the name of Brahma is enough to frighten countless powerful people. That's the god, the supreme among the gods, and the only one among the 9 heaven and 10 earth. It can be said that he is the strongest in the inheritance of Shinto. Not to mention the strength of Brahma Dangu itself, it is the believers of Brahma, who are spread in almost every corner of 9 days and 10 places. Even if one person spits, his believers are enough to drown a super sect. In the Emperor's heaven, Brahman Dangu has always been the leader of the human race and a symbol of glory. More than 90% of the human race in the Emperor's heaven are followers of Brahman. In the Emperor's heaven, any power can buy pills from Brahma's valley, but believers of Brahma can get preferential prices. Those who have been baptized by Shenhui can receive some pills for free every month according to their cultivation. You know, the biggest expense on the road of cultivation is the pill. If you can become a believer of Brahma, you can save a lot of expenses. Therefore, countless people have fallen to the valley of Brahma. Some forces have their own inheritance and can't become believers of others. Dangu didn't embarrass them. They can also buy Dangu pills. However, there is a premise, that is, disciples cannot be prohibited from worshipping God, let alone interfere with freedom of belief in any name and means. Therefore, although some forces are not affiliated to Dangu, there are many followers of Brahma within their disciples and families. These believers will also affect others in their families and sections. Although most forces feel that this is inappropriate, however, the gate of life was caught and had to bow to Brahma and Dangu. However, these forces are not fools. The core disciples in the sect have passed the pass for a long time, suggesting that they should not join the Brahma Dante Valley, and only those who are loyal to the sect and the family can be competent at the top of the clan, which is also a kind of resistance to the invasion of faith. Vatican's followers will not be able to resist even if they are so powerful. Because the pills in the Emperor's heaven are firmly controlled by the Dangu, and the whole Danshyo of the Emperor's heaven is the people of Brahma's Dangu. Because in the Emperor's heaven, only Brahma's Dangu has a complete inheritance of Dandao. If you want to practice the Dan way, you must join the Brahman Dan Valley. If you want to be an advanced alchemist, you must accept the baptism of the divine light and become the most devout believer before you are qualified to learn more advanced alchemy. It's cruel enough to directly monopolize the pill. In this way, it's equivalent to controlling the lifeblood of the whole emperor, and heaven human race. Longchen thought in his heart. Listen to Bai Lishan's story. At this time, Brahman's Dante Valley is already the strongest force of the human race in the Emperor's heaven. With the opening of the Gate of 9 Days and the influx of believers from all over the world, the strength of Brahman's Dante Valley will expand to an unimaginable level. At first, I thought that with the accumulation of millions of years of good fortune of Lingshao Academy, even if I could not compete with Brahma, I could protect myself. But this time, my whereabouts were clearly grasped by the enemy, and I found that I underestimated the enemy. Bai Lishan's face is dignified. You mean that Brahma is watching you? Dragon Dust asked. Bai Lati shook his head and said, the great Brahma should still be closed. According to the master of the clean house, he is at a critical stage. Not only the great Brahma can't move, but even if he is separated, he can't get out. It's not him. Who is it? Sunset? Dragon Dust asked. Bailetian shook his head and said, it's not him. The sunset night is closed with Brahma. In addition to them, who else is so strong that can grasp your trend so clearly?
Dragon Dust was stunned. If what I expected was right, it should be his men who used Brahma's map to monitor my actions. Baal Tiandao. Brahma map? So strong? Can it be superior to our Lingxiao divine sword? Dragon Dust was surprised. Bailetian said, the strength of Qi transport artifact is not in themselves, but in their blessed Qi transport. It is reasonable to say that although there are many disciples in Brahman's valley and there are endless followers of Brahman, our Lingxiao Academy is the oldest academy in 9 days and 10 places. In terms of Qi, we should be half-weight. Even if the Brahma diagram is stronger, it is not strong enough to peep at me, but I can't produce a trace of induction. But this happened again. I also asked Lingxiao Xinjian. The answer it gave was that the other party was likely to send some cruel sacrifice in exchange for unknown power. Sacrifice? Cruel sacrifice? They'll go. They can't entertain so many people and don't want to waste resources. Hold grass. Long Chen's heart jumped wildly. If so, it would be too cruel. However, according to Long Chen's understanding of the great Brahma, these people can do anything without breaking the means to achieve their goals. Long Chen's guess made Bai Zhantang and others stare, and they couldn't believe it, but seeing Bai Lishan's face, they knew that Long Chen's guess was likely to be true. Through sacrifice, we can make the Brahma divine map more powerful, so now the power of the Brahma divine map has far exceeded the Lingxiao divine sword, and we are in a very disadvantageous situation. Baal Tiandao. If they attack us with the Brahma god map, don't we wait to die? Bai Zhantang stared and said, that's not true. Brahma's divine map is the holy weapon of Brahma. No one else can exert its real power except him. Even if they use the Brahma god map, they can't help us. Otherwise, they would have dealt with us long ago. Bailetian indicated that people should not worry about this. The reason why they go to great trouble is to avoid hard contact with us. In fact, without Brahma, they don't have the courage to fight with us. The first academy is our place of contention. Their purpose is to use it to kill us. Without Dan medicine supply in the Emperor's heaven, our situation will become more and more difficult. Baal Tiandao. What shall we do next? Dragon Dust asked. What shall we do next? Bailetian asked. Long Chen was stunned for a moment. He looked back and found that Bai Zhantang and others were also confused. Long Chen asked, President, am I asking you? Bailetian said, I know, so I'm asking you. Long Chen pointed to his nose. Me? Do you mean? Bailetian nodded and said, before leaving, the master of the clean house told me to stop tossing when there is nothing to do and hand over the thorny problems to someone who has a way. Hearing this, Long Chen almost gushed out his old blood. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4801. Hearing Bai Lishan's words, not only Long Chen was stunned, but all the people present couldn't believe looking at the dean. Dean, isn't it too difficult for Dragon Dust? Elder Tenlei made friends with Long Chen and couldn't help saying, the tasks that these people can't complete are directly handed over to Long Chen. He feels that on the one hand, it puts too much pressure on Long Chen, and on the other hand, it shows their incompetence. How can such things be pushed to the younger generation? I can't hang on my face. Bai Zhantang had another idea. He protested, how can a disciple bear such a great event? They'll bear it. Bai Zhantang patted his chest, but when he patted his chest, Bai Shishi's mother and Bai Shaole's mother got up at the same time and deliberately moved their position aside. What do you mean? The white exhibition hall stared at two big eyes and said, obviously his two wives wanted to keep a certain distance from the white exhibition hall, which was tantamount to silently rejecting his opinion. Although the two of them also feel that it is inappropriate to hand over this matter to Long Chen, they will not object even if they think it is inappropriate because they think it is the intention of the master of the clean house. Therefore, they should draw a clear line with Bai Zhantang now so that he will not be afraid. Long Chen said with a wry smile, Dean, you're asking me to drive the ducks on the shelf. If such a group of people can't help it, let him be a disciple of Shenzunjing. Even if Long Chen is bold, he feels like a mountain of pressure and is out of breath. Dean Long Chen, don't feel too much pressure. Let's do what we can. You just need to make up your mind. Bail Tiandao. It's easy to say. If this idea is wrong, Lingshao Academy will be doomed. The first academy is related to the future of Lingshao Academy. It can be said that today's Lingshao Academy can only put all its eggs in one basket. Who dares to make a decision at this time? Seeing Long Chen frowning, Bai Shishi's mother felt sorry for her future son-in-law and said softly, "Dragon Dust, you don't have to worry, let alone too much pressure. A problem can't be solved because we haven't found the key to solve the problem. The key is sometimes found and sometimes made. When we have no clue, we might as well wait and see its change. Time is sometimes a part of the key. Every major event must have the right time, place, and people. All three are indispensable. We can slowly accumulate strength, collect chips, wait for opportunities, and come step by step." Hearing Bai Shishi's mother's words, Long Chen immediately felt a lot less pressure. She was right. Although it was imperative, it did not specify when he would finish it. Long Chen has always been an acute child. When he heard the task, he wanted to solve it immediately. Now, with the enlightenment of Bai Shishi's mother, Long Chen suddenly relaxed a lot. Bai Shaole's mother also said, "My sister is right. Time is very favorable for us. My sister and I have an exhibition hall. We will advance to the heavenly saint in a short time. At that time, when the Lord returns, the strength of our academy will be unprecedentedly strong, so don't have so much pressure. By the way, where is the Lord of the Temple?" Dragon Dust thought of the Lord of the Temple. You know, the strength of the Lord of the Temple is terrible and frightening, but he didn't see him this time. The Lord of the Temple said he had a very important thing to do. He would come back in half a year or a year, but he didn't say what to do. Bai Shaole's mother said, "It must be very important for the Lord of the Temple to leave at this critical moment, but this kind of event must involve the Lord of the Temple, so that Long Chen doesn't have to be in such a hurry. What they said is right. You should eat food one by one and walk step by step. Dean Long Chen, your top priority is to adapt to the rules here and make your body fit the rules, so that you cannot be limited by the way of heaven. After you have fully adapted to the laws of heaven and earth, I will take you to the former site of the first academy and study the next action at that time." Bail Tiandao. Long Chen nodded and went out. Looking at the back of Long Chen leaving, Elder Tunley couldn't help laughing bitterly. It's really embarrassing for him to give such a thing to a disciple of Shenzunjing. It was really embarrassing. The heavenly saints were helpless and asked a disciple to come forward. Everyone felt hot. If I say, no matter what extraterritorial demons they are, we just fight hard. If we can't do it once, well, do it twice. If we can't do it twice, well, kill them all sooner or later. Bai Zhantong couldn't help saying. Elder Ling Tian shook his head and said, "You don't know, Deputy Hall Leader. The extraterritorial demons are extremely terrible. We once made a tentative attack, but we suffered a great loss." "Did you suffer?" Bai Zhantong was surprised. Others don't understand him. Elder Ling Tian is the chief of the 4 elders of heaven and earth, wind and thunder. His strength is unfathomable. In the academy, in addition to the Lord of the Temple, he admires Elder Ling Tian most. However, even Elder Ling Tian suffered losses in front of foreign demons, and used the word terror to describe them. Bai Zhantong was shocked. Those foreign demons. Elder Ling Tian was about to explain, but was interrupted by the dean. Bai Letian said, "Let's talk about it slowly. Now the top priority is to re-establish a stronghold. Now we are in the most awkward state. It is difficult to ensure that the other party will not make other moves. Even if we have Ling Shao magic sword in hand, we should be careful. No matter how difficult the situation is, we must ensure the safety of our disciples and let them practice at ease." As he spoke, Bai Letian looked at Bai Shishi's mother and said, "My sister and I have found a good place. Although there are demons entrenched there, we can easily win it with our strength. But in this sneak attack, the enemy knows our whereabouts like the back of his hand. I'm afraid our next action has been expected by them." While talking, Bai Shishi's mother looked worried. It seemed that their every move was under the surveillance of each other, which was difficult. Ling Tianchang said, "This kind of thing is not impossible. We can't help but guard against it. Now that the academy disciples come, we need to be more careful. The younger generation is the future of the academy." Elder Tianlei and others nodded. If the previous sneak attack happened now, the academy disciples didn't know how many people would die in the scuffle. They couldn't afford to protect them. For a moment, everyone was worried and couldn't think of a good countermeasure. Bai Letian sighed and smiled bitterly. It seems that all this is in the calculation of Jinyuan adult. Forget it, I'd better listen to Jinyuan adult. All of them immediately looked at each other and remembered what Bai Letian had said before. When there is nothing to do, don't toss around and hand over the thorny problems to someone who has a way. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Chapter 4802. As soon as Long Chen came out, Bai Shishir and Yu Qingxian were waiting for him outside the door. Seeing Long Chen frowning, they gently took Long Chen's arm and accompanied him without saying a word. Being held by their arms, looking at the concerned look on their faces and smelling their body fragrance, Long Chen suddenly felt the pressure on his body and disappeared without a trace in a moment. "What's the matter with you, Dragon Dust? You were so sad just now, but now you're full of energy." Both of them noticed the change of Dragon Dust. Bai Shishir couldn't help asking. "There are two peerless beauties around me. I want to look sad. I have to have that ability." Long Chen laughed. Seeing Long Chen's appearance, Bai Shishir was so angry that she punched Long Chen on the chest. She thought Long Chen was deliberately pretending to be worried and lying to them. They didn't know that they gave Long Chen endless strength and confidence. They were the highest faith in Long Chen's heart. As long as they were there, Long Chen felt that there was nothing he couldn't do in the world. Long Chen's worried mood was thrown out of the sky for a moment. Long Chen took the initiative to reach out and hug the slender waist of the second daughter, and said affectionately, "It's nice to have you. Don't make trouble. Others will see it." Bai Shishir is still thin-skinned and reaches out to push away Long Chen's big hand. Yu Qingxian is as tender as water. Although her pretty face is also red, she allows Long Chen to hold her in her arms. Her beautiful eyes are full of love and pity. I don't know why. Although Yu Qingxian has no awakening memory, she seems to know more and more about Long Chen. Sometimes she can clearly see the heart of Long Chen with one move and one look. She knew that Long Chen didn't pretend to be sad before. That's why she felt more and more love for Long Chen. She knew that they were the greatest confidence of Long Chen in facing all challenges. Cough. A cough suddenly came from behind. Bai Zhantang and the two ladies were standing not far from them. Bai Shishi's face turned red to her ears for a moment. Seeing her mother looking at her with a smile, she immediately wanted to find a way to get in. Bai Shishir and Bai Shaole's mother looked at them with a smile, but Bai Zhantang turned his face to other places and pretended not to see them. "Elder, you came out so soon." Dragon Dust is also a little embarrassed. After all, this kind of thing is seen by people. Even with the thickness of Dragon Dust's face, it is also a little embarrassed. Bai Shishi's mother looked at Long Chen with a smile and said, "Elder, have you changed your language so soon? You know before." "Mother," Bai Shishir was so anxious that she stamped her feet and ran away as if she turned around. She really couldn't stay here. Seeing that Bai Shishir was angry and ran away, Bai Shishi's mother even giggled and laughed, which seemed very happy. Long Chen was also a little embarrassed. After a few perfunctory words, he took Yu Qingxian away. When he returned to his temporary residence, he found that the dragon blood soldiers had already begun to meditate and settle down, began to communicate the way of heaven and adapt to the rules here. However, Guoran and Xiachen were not seen in the crowd. Only after asking the older generation of strong people in the academy did they know that they had gone out to explore geology. Exploration geology? Long Chen was speechless for a while. These two guys must have gone to find all kinds of divine minerals and fairy materials, but they won't go too far. After all, they are surrounded by strong enemies. They all know that they won't put themselves in danger. The strong people of the academy protect the Dharma around. The disciples here are safe for the time being. There is no need to remind them. Everyone begins to adapt to the rules here. Bai Shishi originally planned to practice together with others, but Yu Qingxian was worried about Long Chen, so he took Bai Shishi and waited for Long Chen to come out. Fortunately, with their waiting, Long Chen immediately calmed down from anxiety. In this state, Long Chen can calm down and feel the way of heaven. Poof! Just as Long Chen was about to sit down, suddenly someone in the distance gushed blood. It was a strong man who followed Long Chen from Minghaotian. At this time, he coughed up blood in a very frightening state. Keep your mind steady and don't be confused by visions. Everything you see is haunted by heart demons. Ignore it and feel the power of heaven and earth with your heart. A strong man of the older generation of the academy shouted. The man closed his eyes and seemed to struggle in a nightmare, but after listening to the old man's cold drink, his face gradually calmed down and no longer vomited blood. Heart devil! Hearing these two words, Long Chen's heart jumped wildly. He suddenly thought of the same person. At the thought of him, a pair of dark eyes zoomed in his mind. Long Chen immediately fought a cold war. Master, master! Dragon Dust kept calling the Heaven and Earth tripod. At the beginning, he sealed the heart demon in the Heaven and Earth tripod, but he didn't know when the heart demon ran away. For such a long time, although the heart devil never appeared, he always felt a little uneasy. Now when he heard the name of the heart devil again, Long Chen immediately shouted the Heaven and Earth tripod and wanted to know where the heart devil had gone. However, no matter how Long Chen shouted, the Heaven and Earth tripod seemed to fall asleep without any response. At that moment, the palm of Long Chen's hand was full of sweat. If Dragon Dust is not afraid of any enemy, then there is one exception, that is, his heart devil. This guy seems to have left and doesn't seem to have left. Dragon Dust always has a bad feeling. Senior, will the integration of heaven awaken the demons? Asked the old man. The old man is a saint, but seeing Long Chen's inquiry, he immediately saluted and said humbly, Dean Long Chen, there is a certain probability to awaken the demons by integrating the way of heaven. However, with your strength, you should not be troubled by the demons. It is reasonable to say that the more powerful talents, especially those who are invincible, arrogant and extremely confident like Long Chen, will not produce heart demons. Even if they do, they will easily suppress and control them. Only those who are not confident in themselves, worry about gain and loss, or have experienced some painful past, will be disturbed by demons. The strong who can enter the Emperor's heaven are not ordinary people. Therefore, there are thousands of strong people present, but the number of people disturbed by heart demons is less than one hand. Therefore, in the view of the sage, the existence of Dragon Dust at this level is tantamount to worrying about demons. Dragon Dust. Yu Qingxian saw the bad and reached out to hold Long Chen's hand. I'm fine, but I can't integrate the way of heaven with you. With that, Long Chen comforted the second daughter. He found a quiet place not far away. At the same time, Long Chen also said hello to President Bai Ledian and asked him to take care of himself. After arranging everything, Long Chen summoned Huilinger and Lei Linger and asked them to protect the Dharma for themselves. Long Chen took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. Come on, let me see how strong you are. You can read the novel online free at Novel Hall. Calm that you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.